This podcast is a member of the Place to Be Nation family. Visit us at placetobenation.com, the only place to be in your pop culture world.
Place to Be Nation, welcome to our final installment. Yes, we've gotten through a lot of Cobra Kai, but we have still more to do. We have 3 more episodes to break down, and these were some episodes. A lot went on, and looking forward to season 4, but let's finish season 3 first. Let's get the crew in here. By the way, my name is Andy Atherton. I forget to introduce myself sometimes, like you don't know who I am by now. Let's get them in, though. Shawn Kidd. Hey, Shawn. How you doing?
Good evening, and welcome to the finale of this current iteration of the Karate Cinematic Universe. So it should be a great show to talk about.
Lots of Amanda LaRusso love from you.
So much Amanda LaRusso. So much.
So much. All right. Also, it's Scott Shifflett. Hey, Scott.
Andy, the KCU is thriving as we coined it in this previous episodes, and I just can't wait to talk about it. It's amazing. Just I loved it.
Speaking of amazing, and Tim Capel.
Well, thank you for that. And I am super excited to carry this show to the finish line. And I was I was really happy to join you guys for the full journey of Cobra Kai. You know, joining for Mandalorian mid-season, got to hang out for the entirety of Cobra Kai talk. So let's hope that's the start of a great tradition with this show.
Yeah, you were not to hit you with a sports reference, but you were a deadline deal, and then you re-signed with the team at the end of the season. Oh,
is that what I did? Okay.
Yes. Well, Scott.
Sounds like something I would do.
Scott, I'll explain it to you and Sean at some point what that is.
I'll try to follow.
It's a good thing.
Okay.
All right. So we're going to break down episodes 8, 9, and 10. And we're going to start episode 8, The Good, the Bad, and the Badass. So let me get to the synopsis, and then we'll get the guys to give their breakdowns. Daniel meets his Miyagi-Do students and admits that after the school fight, he wasn't sure that they should stay open. He says that things have gotten worse since they shut down. That's why they're back. The only way to stop Cobra Kai is if they all work together. Amanda watches on as Daniel tells the students why they learn karate. Cut to the park. Johnny tells the students that they learn karate to show the world that they're not pansy-ass nerds. He says that eagles don't get shit on, and being a badass doesn't mean they have to be assholes. Cut to Kreese, who tells his students that the goal is to win at all costs, and their enemies are attacking them from all sides. He said there's no turning back. Daniel tells the students that they need to show their enemies compassion, and they can't have hate in their hearts. Johnny says that they all need to beat the crap out of their opponents and not let anyone push them around. However, he tells the students to never start the fight. Kreese tells his students to finish their opponents for good. All the students agree with their sensei. So this was, I really love the intercutting between them finishing the sentences, but, not exactly saying what the other guy would have said. So we'll start with Shawn, like we usually do. Tell us about this opening where, we have 3 senseis. I'm trying to... the karate teachers.
Sensei,
yeah,
whatever.
I'm trying. Karate teachers telling their students.
It's past our bedtime. It's okay. Yeah. We're good.
Yes, I'm
with you. I thought the opening was great where they're intersecting these great karate speeches between the 3 senseis, and they're all saying different things, but they say one thing that leads into the other one saying something different to what they said, and so on and so on. Of course, Kreese wants to kill everybody, so I love that. Really solid opening. It kind of sets the stage for this 3-episode kind of finale we're about to see between the 3 dojos. So fantastic opening.
Yeah, Scott, what did you think of the open?
It stayed true to the form, because we see Johnny being at first we thought he was an asshole, from Karate Kid 1, and then as the shows progress, as the show started and progressed, we see he's not really that bad of a guy. He's just, the way life has been with him and everything. And we see Daniel, who's, still practicing, you want to teach it as defense. Then you see Kreese, who's just the biggest dickhead, and he's finish your opponents, kill them. They're groveling at your feet. You'll still put, cap them in the head or something to end their life. So it's nice to see it's like the true babyface is LaRusso, the tweener is Johnny Lawrence, and the heel is Kreese, and it's great. And what Cobra Kai has done is basically it's basically like a soap opera, like Tim has talked about, and wrestling is basically a soap opera. So I'm all in. I'm hook, line, and sinker.
All right, Tim, what do you think of this open?
Really appropriate that in the karate cinematic universe we get dueling philosophies from these dojos, these students, on what karate means to them. Very cool. I will say that there's a threat of maybe diluting your cast, diluting your story a little bit by having not now 2 but 3 dueling karate dojos, but that is the logical conclusion, logical extension of what we've been following here, really building to this point over the course of, I'd say, the past 2 seasons. And here we are, 3 sensei and 3 very different karate styles. So let's do it.
Mm-hmm. All right, so Johnny goes to pick up Robbie from juvie and finds Daniel there. Daniel says that he's just there for Robbie, and Johnny tells Daniel that Robbie doesn't need him, and Daniel has done enough. When Daniel asks what Johnny thought would happen when he called Kreese in, Johnny says that Kreese is his problem. Daniel says that Kreese has made it clear that he's everyone's problem and that he's going to have to clean up Johnny's mess. Johnny says that he's dealing with it, and Daniel tells him maybe he should think before striking. Robbie comes out as Johnny and Daniel are arguing and tells him that he didn't want either of them there. He blames Daniel for him ending up in juvie. Daniel insists that he was doing what was best for Robbie. Daniel and Johnny both say that Robbie always had the home in both their dojos. Robbie tells him to stay out of his life and leaves. At school, Miguel walks past Hawk and the other Cobra Kai thugs. Sam bumps into Miguel in the hallway, and they awkwardly apologize to each other. She congratulates him on walking again and figures out he wants to be friends with the guys from Cobra Kai. Miguel says that they're not his friends anymore after what they did to the Miyagi-Do students. Sam smiles at that and offers to go with them. As they continue, Miguel asks if they can start over. Sam reintroduces herself, and they notice Yasmin kissing Dimitri. When Sam asks Yasmin what's going on, Dimitri tries to casually dismiss it as study work, and Yasmin agrees. Yasmin insists that she and Dimitri aren't together and will never date that freak. She walks off, leaving a confused Dimitri behind. Dimitri tells Miguel and Sam that he's in love. Miguel figures that love conquers all, and Sam agrees. All right, so, we have Robbie getting out of juvie, and Miguel's back in school, and, good for Dimitri, by the way. Scott, what do you think of this section of the episode?
So I'm gonna start with Dimitri first. At first, in the first season, he was kind of annoying, like, just a real Debbie Downer. And they've done some work with this character. He's still kind of like a smart ass and an asshole, but like he has confidence now, and obviously he's able to pull Yasmin, who is still trying to be a mean girl, but we've seen some character work from her. She was completely missing in season 2 because that took place over the summer, and she was gone. But it was nice to see, like, oh look, the nerd gets the girl at the end. As for Miguel and Sam, I mean, we all knew they were going to get back together. She kissed Miguel when she was dating Robbie, and I had been on the Robbie bandwagon, but he's kind of being a little bit of a bitch right now. With him, like, he has these people that want to support him, and he's like, I'll just stay out of my life. It's like, dude, you're 16 years old. You just got out of juvie. I think you went to school for half a day before you crane kicked Miguel's ass over the second floor. So maybe you should listen to someone before you decide you're going to walk home from juvie where you don't even have a home. Good luck walking to that van. But yeah, I'm just over him.
All right. Tim, what did you think of this part?
I think I like Scott taking Robbie to the woodshed there.
I'm not a Robbie fan either, so
I like that unprovoked rant. Very, very cool. Gosh, where to start? I guess I'll start with that piece of shit, Dimitri.
Hey, that front wedgie.
You know what, guys? You know what? I kind of don't hate Dimitri as much anymore. I won't say I like him. I won't say he's a good character yet, but he stopped whining. So that goes pretty far in my book. He's not such a whiner like he was all throughout, really, the second season. Got on my nerves so bad. So this Dimitri, he's still pretty annoying, but doesn't get under my skin quite as badly. So I'm kind of all right, reluctantly all right with the Dimitri character now. Nice to see Miguel get back into the mix, back into the school proper, and that's environment, interacting with his friends once again, getting caught up. We did, I think we talked about either on our last episode or in our chat that it's just weird that he's been so like out of the loop. It feels like it seems like they're pretending that these kids don't all have their own chat group and cell phones and everything. It feels more like what would be from a 90s show than a 2020s show, but it is what it is. What are you going to do? And I do like Miguel and Sam's chemistry. I do think, even though I've not been a fan and supporter of the Sam character, that the two of them work pretty well together. And I've got it on right now in the background on Netflix, and just saw a major Miguel "oops, I just farted" face. For the record.
So your team McSam, not team Robson?
I don't know that I fully support either ship at the moment, but more so Miguel's Sam. I'm not going to try.
Yeah, it's hard to get these couple names.
That's a portmanteau I'm not going to attempt.
Yes.
With these names. I mean, so yeah.
All right. Shawn, so talk about your thoughts on this part of the episode.
All right, so for Dimitri, good for him for getting his piece of ass. So it just shows that you can be a dork and karate to get you the piece of ass that you crave. So that's good for him. Sam and Miguel, I will hold my thoughts to that a little bit later. I am also clearly not a Sam fan. But I want to hold my thoughts about this whole thing later on. Robbie, listen, I think all of us have our issues with Robbie. Tim has issues with Robbie. It might be a little different than the rest of us.
Listen,
however, if you really think through this, right, the guy has been abandoned by his father. He feels betrayed by his sensei. And I always enjoy, like Scott always brings it up, we enjoy these Johnny and Daniel moments when they get together and they interact and they're fighting down here. Robbie walks out and, I don't want these two men who abandoned me to pick me up. I mean, you can't really blame them because at the end of the day, they're not even worried about real life. I mean, the comments they make, Daniel goes, "You always have a home at Miyagi-Do." Well, what about a home in real life, you jackass? Not your fucking dojo. So I'm like, can you really blame Robbie for being angry at these two guys? You can't. Even though his character sucks, he has a legit reason to be brooding Robbie. And that's all I'm going to say about that.
Well, everybody has failed him, basically.
Everybody in life has failed him, so do you really blame his character for being an unlikable prick? No, you can't.
No. You just can't help it. All right, so later at the Miyagi-Do dojo, Daniel puts his students to do another kata. Amanda comes out and Daniel instructs Dimitri on defending himself. Interrupting, Amanda calls the students to have some lemonade, and when she's alone with Daniel, tells him to take it easy. He blames himself for their being in their current position. He says that the students will need the techniques to survive. Amanda figures it's about Robbie and tells her husband to let Robbie figure it out and possibly let him go. The council person, Ron, stops by to tell them that there's a problem with the tournament. At the park, Johnny has a student kick a frisbee he's holding. Miguel tries next, but can't do a lifting kick. He says that he can do it, and Johnny walks him through it. When Miguel falls down, Johnny tells him to get up and tells everyone to get some water. Miguel stays behind, and Johnny tells him that no one is expecting him to be his old self. Mitch gets a text that the council has canceled the All Valley. Ron tells Daniel that the city can't cancel the All Valley. Sorry, my talking tonight, because they don't want to foster a culture of violence after the school fight. The council person says that it's an overreaction and tells Daniel that there's a community hearing. Ron figures that if anyone can convince him, it's Daniel, being a two-time champ. The council person goes to talk to the rest of the board, and Daniel wonders if it's the best so Cobra Kai doesn't have a stage for their violence. Sam comes out, having overheard the conversation, asks Daniel that if he's going to let them cancel the All Valley. She says that if the tournament gets canceled, it sends a message that the Miyagi-Do are the bad guys. At the apartment complex, Miguel tells Johnny that he needs to tell the board what karate means to him and how it helped kids like Miguel stand up for themselves. Johnny figures that it's a blessing in disguise, as he didn't want to risk Miguel getting hurt again. Carmen overhears them arguing, comes out as Johnny at this point points out that Miguel hurt himself in the park with one kick. Johnny tells Miguel that he's proven he can win just by walking. Miguel says he needs to prove it again. He's shocked that Johnny is no longer on his side and walks off. Johnny sees Carmen watching. So, Tim, we got the All Valley tournaments getting canceled, and everybody's in a tizzy. What's going on here?
I like that Daniel seems a little bit conflicted over this news, hearing that the tournament is canceled. He doesn't, fly into a rage. He doesn't say, "Oh no, you can't do that," and the cliche soap opera sort of reaction. He's like, maybe they've got a point. It feels like a pretty human sort of response given all that has happened. I remind you once again of the school-wide karate riot. So while there are some liberties taken with respect to normal human behavior in this show, I do appreciate those moments where an adult kind of acts like an adult. So I just sort of I just applauded that. I felt like it was a nice touch to have his just sort of bemused response to it, and the kids sort of take up the cause, which makes a lot more sense in the karate cinematic universe. Miguel having some limitations now, which makes a lot of sense, but at the same time, we're on, what is this, episode 8? This is a 10-episode season, so kind of get the sense that he isn't going to have some kind of miraculous recovery in the next 2 episodes and be back to full fighting form. So, I don't know, in some ways that it feels like they're telegraphing where our finale is going to be, i.e. not the All Valley tournament, with this kind of time left and with Miguel in the shape that he's in. But it's fine. Predictability is not necessarily a bad thing. Yeah, we see that basically in these 2 dojos with our younger cast split up, one of the benefits of that, I think, is that it forces them to flesh out these kind of side characters who, if they had names, I didn't necessarily know them. You mentioned Mitch getting the text message, who's a character I'm pretty sure has been in every season up to this point, and I've never known that kid's name. And now I'm having to sort of pay attention to this because I want to be able to follow these allegiances, especially given how much they're going to be shifting, I'm sure, given the expectations that this show has created. So some of these kids, so you got Mitch, you've got, who's the one that they beat the fucking shit out of, Nathaniel, right?
Yes.
He's a named character who might be more of a character now.
Who's the chubby kid that got thrown out of Kai? What's his name?
I call him Dustin from Stranger Things because he looks just like the kid.
I think that's Mitch, isn't it?
Oh, maybe
Yeah.
I call him Penis Breath after.
Yes. Okay. Yes, that's Penis. That is Penis Breath for sure. I think Penis Breath is Mitch.
All right.
Now Mitch has a friend who is with Miyagi-Do, who I don't know that name yet, but I might if
He
we
works
keep
at,
going,
yeah,
Chris.
he works
Chris.
at the amusement park place.
Golf and stuff.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, we split up the younger cast, but maybe we're going to get some development for these other characters coming out of it. Not necessarily a bad thing.
Mm-hmm. All right. Shawn, the All Valley's canceled. Oh, God.
Oh, no. First, I like Daniel being a prick to his students because he was very intense. Amanda offering them all lemonade. I wish she would offer me her lemonade because I would drink it all day long. I still like that Daniel is more upset about Robbie not wanting to choose his dojo versus Robbie being okay in life. I thought that was great. I love the karate representative coming over and calling the Miyagi-Do an enchanted tiki room. That made me laugh. The tournament, like Tim said, being canceled kind of makes sense, right? Because, there was this big school brawl and this kid almost died. So kind of makes sense to want to eliminate the tournament. And I already brought up penis breath. I love Johnny. I love Johnny. Hey, he calls him ass face, or would you rather be penis breath to Mitch or whatever? And I'm going to buy me an Eagle Fang shirt because those shirts are very badass. And then Johnny also had a great line about meth heads wiping their ass in the water fountain in the park. I thought that was good. So,
Yeah.
and I do really enjoy the father-son dynamic between Johnny and Miguel. I think that's really, really good, and you can see that Miguel's mom is really into that, so maybe it'll help Johnny get lucky here down the road.
Can only hope. Scott, it's up to you.
Yeah, in addition to the riot that nearly killed a kid, they're having these gang fights in abandoned parks where they're breaking other kids' arms and everything, and
and beating
jumping,
the fucking shit out of little kids.
Yeah, and taking their money. So it's hell yeah, we canceled it. We got 3 rival gangs in this, wealthy upper class neighborhood that have just taken the streets onto themselves. Hell yeah, we should cancel it. So people being shocked, and I agree with Daniel's maybe not a bad idea. And of course, like Shawn said, the kids get upset because they don't have that much going on in their lives, where the adults are well, I really can't really get involved with this. I don't want to lose my job, and the LaRussos almost lost their car dealership in the earlier part of the season because of the riot that they had. So I understand it. And, I liked with Miguel, they'd just be oh, you can walk now. Everything's better. I like how they still have him struggling, but it did bring up a point to Tim. It's yeah, this All Valley isn't happening this season. It's 2 episodes away. In the first season, the All Valley was 2 episodes by itself. So I'm pretty sure. I'm going off of memory. But yeah, it's and Carmen's definitely loving up on Johnny right now. So we'll see what happens with that.
All right. So Robbie goes to meet with his probation officer, and Tori comes out of the office, tells Robbie that they'll send him back to juvie after he steps to her. He complains that she started the fight, and Tori thanks Robbie for finishing it. She tells him that everyone else went back to their normal lives, but the 2 of them ended up in probation. When Tori starts bad-mouthing Sam, Robbie tells her to stop and insists that Sam is a good person. Tori doesn't believe it and tells Robbie that eventually Sam will turn on him. She tells him that pretending to be something he's not and give him some advice on filling out the probation form and leaves. Johnny has Carmen over for some juice, and she tells Johnny that she appreciates putting Miguel's safety first. She tells Johnny that as parents, they have to make hard choices for their children's own good. She assures him that he's done a lot for Miguel. Neither him nor her nor she will forget it, and that she says that she heard about the tournament and says that Johnny needs it. Carmen originally blamed Johnny for Miguel getting hurt, but she realized that Johnny cares as much about Miguel as she does, and was just as hurt when he was injured. She may not want Miguel to compete, but he won't get hurt because Johnny is his sensei, and Johnny is meant to be. Carmen tells Johnny that there are other Miguels that need his help, and he has to save the tournament for them. He admits that he doesn't know how he's going to do that. She tells him that he has to do what he does best, is fight. At the hearing, Sam, Daniel, and Amanda are in the audience, and Sam, tells Daniel that he's got it. Johnny comes in, sits down nearby, and tells Daniel that he's fighting for the All Valley. Daniel figures it's going to be a disaster. The councilwoman, Roberts, calls for appeals to the tournament's cancellation. Johnny, Daniel, and Kreese all stand up. Kreese speaks first, introducing himself as continuing to serve by teaching children strength and discipline. Also mentions that he's a war veteran, which buys him some points with the committee. He asks why his students are being penalized for the fight at the high school, referring to Miyagi-Do by name. When Daniel interrupts, the chairwoman tells him to wait his turn. Kreese said that he and his colleagues want to prepare their students, and Daniel interrupts, saying that students were injured by a bunch of Kreese's students. Kreese points out that Sam started the fight, and Amanda angrily stands up and tells Kreese to leave Sam out of it. He tells Amanda, the councilwoman tells Amanda to control herself. Kreese said that he's filed a restraining order against her and for physically assaulting her. A guard comes to escort Amanda out, but she insists on walking out on her own. Kreese insists that he's a positive influence on his students and students before them. Johnny speaks up, saying that Kreese poisons the minds of his students, and he was one of them. He admits that they were competitive, but it was all in good sport. Daniel accuses Kreese of putting a live snake in his dealership, and Councilwoman Roberts tells them all to sit down.
Christ.
She then made the championship is causing division and rivalry, and that the 3 senseis have made excellent case why the tournament shouldn't continue. All right, so before we get to the person who really puts it over the top, we will go back to Shawn. So, we get the whole thing between Carmen, seeing that Johnny's really the good guy, and Kreese coming and playing the war veteran card, and the three senseis once again are going at it with the council. So break it down.
I apologize. I didn't mean to laugh during the reading at the snake at the car dealership. It's just so absurd. It made me laugh as you read.
It's just hearing it all broken down. I
just
agree.
hearing it made me laugh, so I apologize.
Same.
Oh, that's fine.
So first off, I'll go line by line of where you started. So we'll talk. So I think it's a natural progression for Robbie and Tori to become karate probation sex partners. So I think that's really where we're going with that relationship. It's a very natural progression. I think they're both in probation. They both like karate, and they've both been betrayed by the people they love. So you know where that's going to play out long term. I think it's very funny that Miguel's mom still wants the tournament to go on, even though karate almost killed her son. So very, very unique parenting there, I thought. I liked the opening of the hearing with the guy talking about the manhole and the man covers. I thought that was very funny. Natural that all three of the dojo senseis would show up. I love Kreese being the asshole heel, bringing up his military background for sympathy. He's just a piece of shit, and I think he's great. Amanda yelling at him, of course, popped me because I want Amanda yelling at me why I drink her lemonade, so I am perfectly right here. It falls apart as expected with these three knuckleheads just totally destroying it. And anyway, long story short, it's a big fucking disaster until we get to the next scene like you talked about. So that's where I'm at up to this point.
Yeah, it was very Parks and Rec at some point in this. And I love Johnny explaining what a swirly is.
Oh, yeah, I had that note too. The swirly was a good one too. Yeah. So good stuff here. I mean, a lot of stuff happens in like 5 to 7 minute intervals in this show. It almost feels like a 2-hour movie because so much happens.
Yes. Scott, what about what do you think about what happened here?
All right. Tori's a psycho. I'm just going to leave that off with the top. She was dating Miguel for like, I don't know, maybe 30 seconds. What it felt like, and was like, I'm gonna kill that bitch Sam for stealing my man. It's like, all right, relax. You're on probation. You need to chill out. But her and Robbie, basically when they introduced Tori last season, I was like, oh, that's Miguel's girlfriend. But now obviously they need dipshit brooding Robbie to pair up with someone. So it's like, pair him up with the psycho. That will end well. So anyway, I did love that Kreese plays he's great at playing people. He's such a piece of shit, though. He is such a piece of shit. He gets brownie points for saying he was in Vietnam and everything, and then it's make sure to get his little jabs in at both Johnny and LaRusso with saying how Sam's started the fight, and then how he has a restraining order against Amanda, which Amanda probably has a restraining order against Shawn if she ever hears this podcast. So it was just great. They just know how to play each other, and they show how they're kids, and they show that it should be canceled. If I was a council person, which if that is the town I'm in has went off the rails, but if I'm a council person and these people start talking about this, I was like, this is canceled forever. Just don't ever come back. So, but it makes what's about to happen that much better.
I get a very I'm starting to get I think we're going to end up with a triple A, a McMahon Helmsley type situation with Tori and Robbie. I know. We make a lot of wrestling references on the show, but what else? We don't know any better. Tim, unpack this part of the episode.
Ooh boy. All right, so if Shawn is hopping on the Crystal Light Express with Amanda, then I guess I can back the Robbie Tori karate students with benefits possible pairing. Now I do like that they didn't just flip flop the two couples from last season, so you don't go right back to Miguel Sam and then do a Robbie Tori. We are seeing Sam and Miguel get chummier again, but seems like they're holding off on going full bore with Robbie and Tori. Maybe we get that next season, but I think I'd be down for it. Just two psychos banging their brains out. That works for me. The council meeting was quite the shit show. Amazing to hear it all just laid out. and Kreese being a piece of shit. Amanda LaRusso calling him a piece of shit in the middle.
So hot.
Sean, do you need a minute?
Oh, I'm all right. I'm good.
Yeah, this is usually me with the terrible, deplorable thirst comment. I'm glad to set that one aside for one podcast at least. And just again, I said I liked adults acting like adults, and here we're seeing adults not really act like adults in this council meeting, but acting in a way that seems believable. Still, well, maybe not believable, plausible. I'll put it that way, given the events of the series. So I just love the way that blew up, and I love Johnny marking out over Amanda's comments about Mr. Kreese. Good stuff there. He was into it as much as Shawn. Yeah, this is great material.
Yeah, I think we get the seeds are starting to be sown for Robbie's turn to the I guess the dark side, if you will, and that kind of gets solidified. He's on that path at the end of the episode, which we're going to get to right now. Miguel, we're back at the council hearing. Miguel comes in, takes the podium, introduces himself, says that as the kid who got thrown off the balcony, says that he thought he was going to be paralyzed but he learned how to rewalk and wants the tournament to continue. When Robert says that Miguel doesn't understand, Sam says that he does, and they want a place where they can compete fairly and safely. Miguel talks about he was first bullied, and there are always going to be bullies. He said that they need to teach kids how to defend themselves physically and mentally, and Sam agrees with that. Continuing on, Miguel says that karate is about confidence and inner strength. He doesn't know where he'd be if it was for Johnny, and tells the councilwoman that they need a tournament to show the people of the world that they're not afraid. Miguel says that they deserve a chance to show everyone they could be champions, and the council agrees to allow the tournament as long as they sign a waiver the city isn't liable. And she says the tournament is back on, and also mentions that she doesn't understand the Valley's obsession with karate. After the meeting adjourns, Kreese tells Johnny and Daniel that they all got what they want, and they should be careful what they wish for. Once Kreese leaves, Daniel and Johnny hug their respective students. Later that night at the Miyagi-Do dojo, Sam and Miguel drink to the tournament. She says that Miguel is welcome to train there anytime. Miguel says that they train in junkyards. And Miguel challenges Sam to take him on, and they half-jokingly spar. He gets Sam in a chokehold, and Robbie comes out, seeing them as they were about to kiss, and says he should have known. Sam insists that it isn't like that, but Robbie doesn't believe her, says that she never wrote him, and she explains back that, he stopped answering or never answered. Miguel tells Robbie to leave Sam alone. Robbie attacks him. Sam steps in between them and stops the impending fight. Robbie says they deserve each other and leaves. Back at his apartment, Johnny checks his computer, and Carmen knocks at the door. He invites her in, and she says that she heard what happened at the hearing. Johnny says that Miguel is a true champion and had nothing to do with Miguel being there. Carmen says that Johnny had everything to do with it, and they kiss. And Johnny kisses her back, and they make their way to the bedroom. Tim, you would appreciate it. It's like a Melrose wall slam.
Oh, man.
Will. Yes, and also Johnny, obviously you can see why he got fired by being a handyman, because that TV came down fairly easily. Kreese then puts up a poster for the championship in his dojo. Robbie comes in and calls Kreese sensei, and Kreese smiles in satisfaction. So Scott, here Miguel, says his piece and really gets the tournament back on. We get Sam and Miguel kind of rekindling. Robbie, of course, walks in at the wrong time. We get Johnny and Carmen, getting together, and we see the final moments. Robbie turned to the dark side. So unpack it.
Miguel got his let the kids play from the Bad News Bears moment there. So but I love the council people. They just care about getting sued. It's just have him sign a liability form and we're done with this. It's back on. His speech was nice because, he is called, Rhea, as we'll see in the next couple of episodes by that piece of shit Kyler. But, we all knew that Miguel and Sam were going to get back together, and they were jokingly flirting, and then Robbie shows up, and he's like, hey, I thought we were dating. She's like, you ghosted me for 6 weeks. I'm going to move on. Get your shit together. And he's just being a little bitch, like usual. But, sorry, this is the episode I turned on Robbie. I was okay with him, have his daddy problems, but I'm like, you know what? Maybe you were a bad son. And Johnny was like, I need a better son, and got Miguel. So That
God, that was cold.
so that's where we're
Brutal.
at. It's the truth. He's a prick. Anyway,
So hot though.
So mean to Ravi, man. I feel bad for the kid. Jesus.
nope.
I mean, he is a dick, but he has a reason.
Yeah, but like he didn't think he should go to jail because he tried to basically kill Miguel. We're forgetting about that. And he's like, should be no consequences to these actions.
This is a KCU. There is no consequences for karate.
That is true. And I did love
Karate is the consequence.
I did love the councilwoman saying, I don't understand the Valley's fascination with karate. It's because it's like the only place in America that's fascinated with it. Everyone's like, we've moved on to like laser tag or something, whatever. But I did love that Johnny and Carmen finally getting together. I was actually hoping that, they would get busted by Miguel. I can't wait for that to happen. That should be fun. And, Robbie, I knew that the heel turn was coming to Cobra Kai in the middle of last season because you saw like some of it with him wanting to take it further in fights and everything. So should be interesting. But now it seems that, Johnny has his one person in Miguel. LaRusso has his daughter Sam, and now Kreese has his prize pupil in Robbie. And like you said, Andy, we're getting a triple threat set up for this. I can't wait for it.
Yeah, that was quite the evil grin Kreese gives at the end of the episode. Tim, so Miguel saves the day for the tournament, but some more stuff happens as we finish it out.
Well, you gotta love the Donna Martin graduates moment with the kids rising to the occasion and pleading their case and winning over the hearts and minds of the council people. Although, if the Donna Martin graduates episode taught me anything, it's that this is not a unilateral decision. Why does this come down to one council person who just like, okay, you got me, and bangs her gavel and that's it? They needed to put this to a vote. I mean, what are all these other council people doing there? That was, I don't know. It doesn't matter, but it was just one of those weird nitpicky things that jumped out at me. So anyway, the All Valley is back on. We follow that with a great soap opera, bad timing, misunderstanding moment of Robbie walking in on the worst possible occasion here to see Sam and Miguel rekindling things over an RC Cola drink of choice for teenagers in 2021, I'm sure. And he gets very broody, and it makes sense, right, that this is going to be his tipping point. Like, he was willing to give Sam another chance, like wants to, if nothing else, like bury the hatchet. Still seems to think that she's a decent person in spite of all the other shit that has been going on with them. He's like, all right, let me just try to move forward here. And then what does he get? Basically a slap in the face to see what he sees, and that is going to push him over into dark Robbie territory. So it makes all the sense in the world to me. Say what you will about the character. I mean, character-wise, not my favorite in the world either, but I do think that it's an organic sort of development for him. Man, finally, we see the Johnny and Carmen train leaving the station. Why am I using so many train metaphors tonight?
I can get with some of this train.
2 is probably too many. So they bang it out. Good stuff. Miguel thankfully does not walk in on them, as we feared what happened last season. But yeah, glad to see those two kids really working things out over karate. We get we've seen a real role reversal with the parents, kind of as of this episode, maybe the last episode or two, where like the dads who were formerly all about karate are now sort of poo-pooing karate, and the moms are like, no, karate's where it's at. I wasn't into it before, but now I see that even though karate once ended my son's life, it has also saved his life. So Carmen has been won over by the karate cinematic universe.
There you go.
All right, Amanda.
Huh? All right, Sean, finish it up.
All right, so so Miguel and Sam at the council meeting. I'm going to sum this up. Miguel, basically the speech is karate is world, sensei is God, and that's really what he said, and that's what won over the council. And I wrote a note that I wish the real government realized this about karate because the world would be a better place. But I do like the comment about the one lady saying, I don't understand this ridiculousness over karate. It's almost the show gets itself and what it is and made fun of itself in that comment. And I think I like the fact that, listen, we can laugh at some of this ridiculous stuff, but at the end of the day, the people that write this show knows what it is. And I thought this was kind of a funny little nugget to make fun of it. So I appreciated that. Of course, the soap opera element, Robbie's going to show up during the potential karate lovemaking session at the Miyagi-Do. And Robbie always eats all this shit. So again, yes, he's unlikable. Yes, he's brooding. To Tim's point, yes, Tim thinks he's hot. Yeah, I guess he's hot, brooding prick. But, he's really eats all the shit, and he has a right to be this guy. Miguel's mom showing up for the karate booty call. I'm all in on this. And Tim was bringing up trains. I could definitely get with the Amanda Carmen train, and we might add someone to that as we go through this show tonight, but I'm all in on these two. And then, Robbie
ride it through that tunnel, huh?
Yeah, I'm all into that tunnel. And then Robbie showing up at Cobra Kai at the end was inevitable. So it all plays out. As ridiculous as some of it is, the storytelling in this makes a lot of sense. And, so that's that episode.
All right, yeah. I was going to say they're drinking Shasta because that's what everybody used to drink in these shows, but.
I remember going off track here. I remember on One Tree Hill one season, they were obviously being sponsored by the Orange Crush, so that was being shoehorned in everywhere, and you just gotta love it when they don't figure out how to do this perfectly. But it's funny you mentioned about the RC Cola because I watched this episode and then I saw my little brother and we were in a Walmart and they were selling RC Cola and I was like, what the fuck? How's this 2 in 2 days? Like, what's going on right now?
There you never see. Had to get some.
Yeah.
Oh, RC Cola back in the 80s. Come on.
It was great.
Come on.
Yep. There used to be a restaurant in Stanford that had it on tap. Come on. It was awesome. All right. So we move on to episode 9 of season 3 called Feel the Night. It's Christmas in San Fernando, and Mrs. Mills returns home from shopping. She tells Allie that it's good to have her home for the holidays from Colorado. Nice reveal there that Allie is back. Elizabeth Shue looking much better than she did in The Boys. Allie says that she'll be at the Christmas party.
Her sinus cavity is intact, so that's probably an immediate.
The COVID eye is there, but she does look much better.
Yes. So she says that she'll be at the club at the party. At the Christmas party at the club the next night. Her mother asks her if she has plans to get together with any of her friends. She says, yeah, she's got some plans. The next morning, Johnny and Carmen wake up in bed next to each other. She asks where do they go from here, and Johnny admits he doesn't know. They admit that they don't know how a relationship would go, with Johnny being Miguel's teacher, and Johnny says that he doesn't want to screw things up with the kid. She has to go to her job and tells Johnny that she's working that night. Hopefully they can talk more when she gets home. Once he's alone, Johnny makes him some breakfast and gets an email from Allie. She invites him to lunch. Since she's in town for the holidays, Johnny watches Carmen leave for work from her apartment across the courtyard and considers Allie's invitation. At the Miyagi-Do dojo, Miguel looks at the photo of Mr. Miyagi on the wall. Sam explains who he was and that he taught karate the right way. She worries that Miguel and Daniel won't see eye to eye because they have different styles, and Miguel notices an Okinawa hand drum on the shelf. Sam demonstrates how it works, parrying Miguel's blows, and then he flips her to the mat. The couple kiss, and Daniel comes in and apologizes for interrupting him. All right, so we get the reveal that, Allie does make it back, as we all thought was going to happen. And, we have the morning after with Johnny and Carmen, and Sam and Miguel finally kiss again. So, Scott, lead us off here. What do you think of the beginning of this episode?
Well, I loved the beginning because I thought it was Mrs. LaRusso, Daniel's mom, at the beginning with that, and it was a nice reveal to see that it was actually Allie, who was, she looks pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. Like you said, it's nice to see that she's alive after Homelander destroyed her last season. I mean, in The Boys, so that was good. I like to see that Johnny and Carmen, they were both trying to figure out what they're gonna do next. I think step one should probably be telling Miguel what happened, because I hope we don't get this in this show, but we probably will, where like he's like, "Oh, you're with my mom," and like takes it out on him, and then he's brooding for a couple weeks. The brooding market's are already covered by Tim's boy Robbie, so we can't have two of them. Okay. Sorry, I had to take a Robbie shot right there. I just don't.
I would agree with that.
But I do love that like Johnny's gonna see Allie, and it's like, why has this happened? He just hooked up with Carmen.
We don't need any "oops, I farted" brooding.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, is Johnny gonna hook up with Allie? And Daniel is taking it a little bit, because Sam's only 16, and I don't know. I don't have kids yet. I can't really speak for you guys, but if I walked in on like this guy making out with my 16-year-old daughter, I wouldn't be cool with it like Daniel is. He's trying to be like the Amy Poehler's character from Mean Girls. I'm not any mom. I'm a cool mom. It's like he's trying to be the cool dad. I'd be like, hey, what the hell are you doing, asshole? Get up. 6 feet, COVID times, social distancing. But yeah, that's all.
All right, Tim.
That's a great jumping off point. Actually, Daniel took that remarkably in stride. It's not just that he caught them kind of necking or getting a little cozy. Like they're about to like take a trip down to the sex car, if you know what I mean. It's
he
the
had
car.
a drum in his pants.
Right. Right.
Or he's just happy to see her.
Well, that very valuable instruction error on how the drum works. You move it back and forth. Look at that.
And put it in your pants.
I'm sorry. That was Sean's fault.
It always is.
Yeah, so Robbie definitely has the market cornered on brooding. I definitely do not want to see a subplot with Miguel giving Johnny shit over making time with his mom. I hope we don't go down that very cliched path. The show is usually better about that stuff, but it remains to be seen. We don't have a whole lot of time left to even address it now, especially with Allie stepping back into the picture. I had my reservations about this, as you guys might recall, just with Elizabeth Shue coming in like this big movie star, playing a character who, wasn't really that big a deal in the grand scheme of things to this franchise, but leaves a pretty big imprint on the lives of both Johnny and Daniel. And finally, it's like missed connections. But they managed to get together, to have this little meet cute over lunch, and we'll see how that goes, and we'll see how they handle it. I wonder how I'm gonna feel about this as things play out. But I guess it was inevitable, so we're here. I just don't anticipate Elizabeth Shue sticking around that long, being the big time star that she is, slumming it on Cobra Kai. Well, really pulling double duty, because you figure this probably was filmed at the same time she was doing The Boys, right?
Yeah, or immediately after.
Yeah.
They might have some overlap, definitely.
So, I don't know. I was just curious to see how they were going to handle that.
All right. Sean, what do you think of the beginning of this episode?
I liked the opening reveal with Allie. I thought it was really well done. She's in town for the holidays, so and then she, kind of makes her mom said, "Are you going to hook up with any of your old friends?" And she goes, "She has plans." So right away where it's going to go. And I would be down with an Allie, Carmen, and Amanda train. So I am all in on that as well. Allie would probably bring up the rear though on that one, I think, because I think I like the other two better.
Hanging out in the harem car, huh?
Yeah, hanging out in the harem car. I think, where do they go from here with Carmen and Johnny? I don't know where they go, but I can't believe she actually called him sensei after they had sex. Like, she actually calls him sensei while they're laying in bed together. I'm like, everything has to go back to karate, so that was pretty stupid.
Maybe he taught her some new tricks, Sean. We don't know.
Maybe, but he's a sex sensei now. Adults calling another adult sensei is just ridiculous. And then, Sam and Miguel are discussing karate and like it's love bonding, and they tell the story about the drum, and now they desecrate this really powerful instrument that was used in the Karate Kid 2 by sticking it down his pants. And then I think it's great that Daniel walks in on them, and to what you guys said, acts like he's totally cool with it. And this is now the second time in a row that Sam has tried to desecrate Miyagi-Do by replacing stress eating with sex. So,
My God.
Okay. So, Robbie is rolling up his bedroll in the back of the Cobra Kai dojo and hears Kreese working out in the main room. He goes to check it out, and Kreese tells him that he can stay as long as he wants. As Kreese shows Robbie his Cobra Strike, Hawk comes in with Tori, Kyler, and the other students, sees Robbie, and asks why he's there. Kreese tells Hawk to be courteous because Robbie is their guest. Hawk tells Kreese privately that he says that Robbie isn't one of them. Kreese tells him they need as many people as possible with the All Valley on. Hawk reminds him that Robbie put Miguel in the hospital. Kreese tells Hawk that one of the things he learned in Nam is that the enemy of your enemy is often your friend. Tori goes to see Robbie in the back room, and he says that he doesn't belong there. When she accuses him of running away, Tori says that she used to hate everyone, including herself, when Miguel was crippled, but she couldn't run away from herself. She explains that Kreese taught her that it's best to channel hate into strength, and it feels good. Tori kicks a nearby bag and tells Robbie to join the rest of them after class. Johnny meets Allie at a kitchen cafe, and they talk about when they saw each other last during senior year. It was when after Johnny was defeated in the All Valley. The waitress comes over and they take the order. Johnny repeats what he had heard a customer say nearby. When Allie orders a cheeseburger, Johnny puts down the wall and orders one as well. Once they're alone, Sam apologizes to Daniel about not telling him that she was bringing Miguel over. He asks her to leave the door open when she does and suggests that she's adding more drama to her life than she needs. He mentions Robbie and Sam say that he came over the previous night. And Sam asks Daniel to trust her and says that Miguel isn't in Cobra Kai and can be trusted. The Cobra Kai students go to a nearby zoo, and Robbie joins them. Tori admits to Hawk that she invited Robbie, and Kyler offers Robbie a beer. He refuses and tells Hawk that he doesn't need to drink to pretend to be cool. They slip in through a hole in the fence, and Tori tells Robbie that breaking in won't violate his probation, so Robbie just goes along with them. All right, Tim. So we get Hawk feeling like his spot could be in trouble with Robbie showing up. We got Tori still trying to get her claws into Robbie. We have Johnny and Allie with the awkward beginning of their little lunch date, and Daniel and Sam getting a little chat. So what do you think?
Okay. Well, let's focus on the Cobra Kai kids first of all, and primarily because we haven't seen a whole lot of focus on Hawk, who favorite of mine. Once again, I know that that opinion is not shared by everyone on the panel. Quite all right. But it makes a lot of sense that Hawk, who we know we've come to know as the kind of perennial beta male, if you'll forgive me, of whatever group he's in, he's feeling threatened once more. First, you had old boy, that piece of shit Kyler coming into the dojo. Now he's got to deal with Robbie's old brooding ass. What is this? Plus, we tend to forget that he and Hawk and Miguel were pretty tight. Like, I think safe to say that Miguel probably had become Hawk's best friend in the absence of Dimitri over the course of last season. Yeah. So he's understandably going to be feeling pretty conflicted over what Robbie did to his best friend. And we haven't really seen Miguel and Hawk have any meaningful interactions over the course of Miguel's recovery this season. So see some conflict there, although I don't think they really develop it out as much as they probably could. But I just kind of like that Hawk is the one who's pretty apprehensive, while the rest of Cobra Kai is like, let's see what this guy's got to offer. Basically, he's got Tori's backing, so let's just put him to the test here.
All right, Shawn, what do you think of this section?
So Robbie is bonding with Kreese. I mean, let's be honest. Kreese kind of approaches him in a way that makes Robbie feel like he's wanted more than anyone else has. I like Hawk getting really hot at seeing him, and then Kreese makes that comment: "The enemy of your enemy is your friend." So really nice. I like this scene quite a bit. I was laughing at Johnny listening to the others ordering so he could seem more elegant in front of Allie when she came in and ordering this weird vegetarian thing.
Yeah.
So that was kind of cool. And then I like how and then they flash back to this scene from Karate Kid about why or what happened the last time they saw each other. And I quickly realized that the great age difference that it seemed to be between Allie and Daniel, because Daniel looks 12 and Allie looks like 20 in the Karate Kid, and that was very stunning, that imagery when I saw that scene. But yeah, it was weird, and I like that Johnny quickly realized he could be himself with her, so I thought that was really nice. So Allie seems like a really cool chick, so that's really what I wrote there. I thought Sam had no right to get kind of shitty with her dad because he basically doesn't want her having sex in his dojo. And he really, under the radar, kind of slut shames her a little bit about all her conquests. She brings up Kyler, Miguel, then Robbie. Now you're back to Miguel, and she rattles off her 4 conquests back to back to back. So kudos for him for doing that to his daughter. It was well deserved. And then I also enjoyed the scene the zoo scene where Robbie basically calls Hawk a geek because he has a beer to be cool and he doesn't need it. And you can definitely see those sparks continue between Robbie and Tori. So I liked all these scenes quite a bit. Nice little bit of storytelling there.
All right, Scott?
I'm going to lead off with Tori telling Robbie that breaking into a place won't violate his probation. These dumbasses deserve to be in juvie after that comment. Yes, it will violate your probation. It's like, come on, what are we doing? Sorry, Tim, had to steal that, buddy. But
all good.
But I did love,
pretty ridiculous.
I've been shitting on Robbie, for this whole episode, but I did love him shitting on Hawk because, as we know, Tim may love Hawk. I cannot stand him with a passion, and it's going to be something for the next episode.
We are just the bizarro world of Cobra Kai panelists, I feel like. We just connect on totally opposite characters.
I know. But it's great. It would be pretty boring if we all just agreed with each other all the time. But pretty savage of Daniel, basically like what Shawn said, slut shaming his daughter. He's basically like, you need some you time. And she's like, no, I want some me and Miguel time right now. So, and I just love Kreese. He's always playing a hand that we don't see. It's like everyone's playing checkers, but he's playing chess, the way he's moving across the board. He manipulated Johnny for most of his life, and now he's manipulating his son. He knows what buttons to push with the daddy card because he did it with Johnny as well. So it's going to be interesting to see what comes of that.
And uses his powers for karate.
Yeah,
this great games master. He focuses it all on karate. Could be toppling governments, but instead he wants a karate army.
That just going to take over the valley, as we know. The valley's fascinated with karate. So good luck at the city council meeting, Kreese.
So back at the cafe, Johnny and Allie talk about their early days. Allie is surprised that Johnny is a sensei, and Johnny says that his life after high school wasn't all that great. He describes how he screwed up his relationship with Robbie and every other relationship he's had, starting with her. Allie tells her that she's messed up a lot of things in her life, and she got divorced as well, or separated. She explains that she and her former husband are no longer together, and Allie says that it was no one's fault. Johnny apologizes, saying that he took her for granted, and she points out she punched him in the face. He says that he deserved it, and Allie jokingly agrees. She then suggests that they go do something fun. Daniel finds Miguel checking out his old car and explains that Mr. Miyagi gave it to him. He talks about how he and his mother moved to Reseda in 1984, and Johnny was a rich kid who lived up in the hills. They talked about Daniel winning the All Valley with an illegal kick, and Daniel has repeat what Johnny told him. It's really funny how, Johnny and Daniel are basically opposites of where they were in the social circles, I guess, or, economic, whatever we want to call it. How, Johnny was the rich kid and Daniel was the poor kid. Now it's kind of opposite. The students then, back at the zoo, they break into the exhibition hall, avoid the cameras and the guards, steal a Cobra gift for Kreese. Kyler forgets to bring the snake pole, and Kyler asks about how he's trying to pass trig and has a lot on his mind, but he says he brought beer at least. A guard calls out that who's there. When everybody hears him, they run out except for Robbie. Outside the fence, Hawk berates Kyler. Robbie arrives with the Cobra in a bag, and everyone but Hawk is impressed. Miguel says that Johnny said he had sucker punched him, and Daniel defends himself. Daniel admits that he used a fire hose on Johnny and his fellow students and accuses Johnny of overreacting. Miguel says that Johnny was upset because Allie was his first love, and Daniel says that she was his too. Daniel figures that Johnny felt the same way, and that it was what started everything between them. Realizing the time, Daniel tells Miyagi that it was good to talk to him, shakes his hand, and calls Sam over to cover the car up, and Miguel keeps the sparring to a minimum. Once Miguel leaves, Miguel tells Sam that Daniel shook his hand, figures out that it's a good thing, and he doesn't see Daniel and Johnny sitting, but doesn't figure to see Johnny and Daniel sitting down to talk their problems out. Sam smiles as she gets an idea. All right, so Shawn, we have the continuation of the lunch date and the catching up of Johnny and Allie. We have everything going on the zoo, and I don't know how the hell did Robbie get that damn cobra out. And Daniel kind of warms up to Miguel. I know. What are we doing?
Was it a cobra? I don't know if it was really.
I don't know if it was a cobra or not. I thought it was a regular snake because it didn't look like a cobra. But
at the same time, Kreese would not be impressed if they just grabbed any old non-venomous snake. It had to at least be a venomous snake, right?
Of course, absolutely. So
otherwise, why bother? But that's fucking crazy. What are we doing?
Yeah, like he just randomly shows up with the snake. So I guess just to piggyback on that, I guess he's now officially initiated as a Cobra Kai since he stole the snake. But the Johnny and Allie thing was fine, but I had somewhat of issues of Johnny flirting with her after what happened with Carmen. So you got that. I said on previous episodes, Johnny always has the right intentions, but ends up doing the wrong thing. And there was a lot of flirting going back and forth between the both of them, and I felt like this was going to lead to the wrong thing again. And I was hoping that's not the trope they were going to go to. And then I also laughed that LaRusso accepts that Sam is going to have karate sex with Miguel and bonds with him over tales of Johnny and Miyagi. That's what I think about that.
Yeah. All right, Scott.
See, I enjoyed Miguel and Daniel talking because, Miguel had just been seeing it from Johnny's point of view, where in his mind, LaRusso is the bad guy. When, as we get to the next episode, it's three sides to that whole story. But also like them bonding because, it shows that maybe Miguel's going to turn to Miyagi-Do. But we'll see what happens with that. But it was nice to see them bonding and because they're similar kids with that. They both basically grew up in apartments and, join this karate craze to see what's going to happen. So maybe, 20 years from now, Miguel will be in the spinoff and he'll be hawking cars or whatever. But it was just nice. And I liked seeing Allie because Johnny assumed that Allie had this perfect life because that's what she put on social media, which is what makes it look like with a lot of people on social media, that everything is right in her life. But she's like, I've made mistakes too, because in a couple episodes ago, Johnny was trying his best to make it look like he was this distinguished person, taking pictures of reading a book, and he throws the book away and looking at art and all that stuff. So it shows that she has her own problems too. And I think that shows to Johnny that Allie's not as perfect as he thinks she is. Yeah. And I agree with Shawn. I was like, please don't hook up with her.
Yeah, the spinoff Eagle Fang we'll be seeing on whatever streaming service is hot in 20 years. Tim, what do you think of this part of the episode?
Well, you forget that Miguel and Daniel haven't had a ton of interactions up to this point in the whole of the series, really. It seems like information that he should have already, all this stuff about Daniel's background, but he's getting it from a somewhat biased and unreliable source, which is Sensei Lawrence. So I kind of liked Daniel having the opportunity to just sort of set Miguel straight on some of that. So good shades of gray, pal. Good stuff there. And as far as Johnny and Allie reconnecting over lunch, I like that this wasn't something that just took place in a vacuum. This is a post-coital lunch date for Johnny, who, there's potential here to reconnect with an old flame, but he's going to be conflicted because he, just had karate sex with his student's mother. We always have to make that distinction between karate sex and regular sex. So it's not like this is completely drama conflict free. They're definitely hinting or teasing at least that perhaps we're going to see Johnny having to make a choice, like similar to Shawn. I think it's a little like kind of hacky to go down that road, but I like that it's not just a hey, I'm back kind of thing, and I'm a cool chick because I eat burgers, not plant-based protein food. Like, come on. Like, that could have been so much worse, and they're doing a good job with it so far.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right, so that night, Allie takes Johnny to golf and stuff where they date as seniors and play air hockey. Allie wins, and they play a lot of games. She takes a selfie with them by the Ferris wheel. They sit down. She wins a hippo. Allie says that the place makes her think that she's a 17-year-old again and asks Johnny about Robbie. Johnny says that his son is too smart for his own good and a heartbreaker. Allie describes her son and daughter, and her daughter Ava is a rebel. Johnny says that Ava is just like Allie, and Allie smilingly admits that that's a possibility. Allie says that her ex has the children for this weekend. It's first time alone for the holidays. She talks about how her parents are upset about the divorce, and Johnny puts his arm around Allie's shoulders to keep her warm. They are about to kiss when Allie gets a message. She discovers that it's her mother who's expecting her to be at the club party. Allie would rather stay with Johnny and invites him to come. Robbie puts the Cobra in a tank at the dojo. Kreese sees it and tells Robbie and the other students that he's impressed with him. He tells Robbie that he's the kind of qualities Reese is looking for in his new recruits. He says that alliances are important for them and their enemies. When he says that their enemies are also making alliances, Tori asks what alliances, and Kreese tells her that Sam and Miguel work together to save the All Valley. Kreese dismisses the students. At the LaRusso home, Dimitri and the other Miyagi-Do students sit around at Sam's invitation. She delays them, saying that a kegger is on the way until Miguel brings Johnny's other students there. Sam and Miguel say that Cobra Kai is a bigger threat and they stand a better chance against them by allying with each other. The two sides argue, and Sam says it has to work because they have one last chance to make things right, and the rivalry has to stop one way or another. Johnny goes to the country club and sees Daniel and Allie talking and isn't happy, and that's where the episode ends. So we get the golf and stuff with the old people dating. Johnny and Allie almost kiss. We see Robbie, impressing his new sensei, and Tori getting some more fuel to the fire about Miguel and Sam. And we see the what Sam was talking about with their plan as they try to get the two dojos together. And then we get to the country club where it all comes flashing back for Johnny, seeing Daniel and Allie talking.
I enjoyed the Allie and Johnny thing. I thought it was nice for them to catch up. And with them talking about Allie's kids, I was thinking, like, if they want to run this back with season 4 and maybe bring Allie in, maybe have her kids come too, because she said that, I can't remember if it's her son or her daughter that's around the same age. They could just slide him or her into this as well. And, we have like the Allie thing. Maybe Allie and Johnny get together after the Carmen thing falls apart. But, I'm just throwing this out there at Netflix. I can be reached and bought very easily. So I just want to let you know. And with Robbie putting the Cobra in the tank, and Kreese really knows how to stir the shit. Like, he's like, they're working together. And Tori's like, what are you talking about? He's like, Sam and Miguel are back to, work together to save the All Valley. He doesn't even know that they've hooked up unless Robbie told him. And he's just stirring the pot just to piss them off. And I do like, Dimitri went from not drinking to like, where the hell's the kegger? I'm trying to get drunk. Bang my girlfriend who's not here. We just made out. Whatevs. But I did like Johnny seeing Daniel and Allie talking, and everything comes crashing back. I thought he was gonna do a flying cross kick and take out the Russo at the end of this episode, which would have set the stage great for the season finale.
Yes, Dimitri was that bored he wanted to watch the one with the elf that wanted to be a dentist. Tim, what do you think of the end of this one?
I need to know more about this snake heist. That much of that took place behind the scenes. You can't do that to us. How did this work? How do you free handle this venomous snake? Taking it out of its enclosure and put it in a bag and put it in another. How do you all do all that without getting?
Where did Robbie get the bag?
Yeah, how do you do this multiple times without getting bit? Granted, my my degree in herpetology has lapsed due to I don't know, podcast misconduct. They took that away, so I am a little bit rusty in my reptile knowledge. But again, is this really a cobra? What kind of snake is this? Is this really happening? I had so many questions coming out of that. But beyond the snake heist, maybe he used some kind of Miyagi-Do or Cobra Kai secrets to hypnotize the snake. I don't know. Allie and Johnny on their date is kind of fun to see play out. Just two old friends, old lovers having like an honest conversation, where they're both kind of fuck ups in different ways and just laying it all out on the table. That was pretty refreshing. I enjoyed that. But with the whole country club situation, and Allie basically getting chummy once more with Daniel, oh my God, are we going to deal with not a love triangle, but a love pentagon of Shawn?
Show.
Let me throw this one at you, Shawn. You got Daniel, Amanda, Allie, Johnny, Carmen. That's your pentagon.
Yeah, but I would need to take out Johnny and Daniel.
So that's where we are.
All right. Shawn, your turn.
So the golf and stuff was kind of a nice throwback, and I really enjoyed the cheesy ass 80s like tropey movie music they put in the background as they're playing all their games. Reminded me of the Karate Kid when Daniel took her on the date to golf and stuff. So I really enjoyed that. And yeah, they're about to kiss, and the phone rang, and I'm glad that the phone stopped that from happening because I really didn't want to see that play out. And again, shame on Johnny for. I guess the point is Johnny made a comment early on, and he apologized to Allie about you were the love of my life, and I guess most guys, including me, their high school sweetheart. You always think at the time that they're the love of your life, but yeah. So I didn't like this where it was going with them kissing because I really like that Carmen and Johnny connection. So I'm glad that stopped in its tracks. So that gave me hope that won't play out the way I thought it was going to. I loved, like everyone said, Kreese poking the bear on that whole Miguel Sam thing. The fire tore you up. And then, again, when they bring the Cobra Kai, or not the Cobra Kai, but Miyagi-Do and Eagle Fang unifying together. And so I think that was a natural thing to progress because things are about to really elevate. And then I did like the end with Johnny showing up at the club and seeing Allie talking to Daniel with more flashbacks. And I think it's a great cliffhanger to take us into the finale.
All right. And that finale is entitled December 19th. We start off actually in a flashback back to North Vietnam, 1969. Young Kreese and the other captured members of his team stand in a prisoner cage, and the guards take two of the prisoners to a nearby bridge over a pit. Terry Silver, a.k.a. Twig, still blames himself for their capture, and Kreese tells them to get their shit together, only to worry about survival. The guards cheer as the two prisoners on the bridge fight. Turner speaks up from inside the cage and tells Kreese that it's all his fault. The captain says that there is no rank and it's every man for themselves. One fighter tosses the other one into the pit, and the guards cheer. They take the surviving fighter back to the cage and close the door behind him. He tells others did what he had to do, and the depth of the pit isn't even the worst of it. And back in the present, at the country club's holiday party, Daniel and Amanda arrive, and Daniel says it's tradition, but if they have to be there, Amanda goes get them a table, and Daniel goes to the bar and gets drinks. Allie sees him, comes over and greets him. Daniel congratulates her on how she's looking, and she hears Johnny complaining about a waiter who almost bumped into him with a tray full of spaghetti. Allie calls Johnny over and reintroduces him to Daniel, saying that it's a West Valley reunion. Daniel and Johnny exchange sarcastic barbs, and Allie realizes that the two of them have seen each other since high school. At the LaRusso house, Sam tells the gathered students that they have to work together. Chris insists that it would never work, and Mitch argues. As he and Bert get up to leave, Dimitri calls them pussies and says that the Cobra Kai wants them to be divided. He tells them that Cobra Kai are the worst assholes in the valley, run by the worst asshole of them all, and they'd be assholes not to merge. Mitch and Bert come back, and Dimitri tells them where to start. So, Tim, we get, we're back in Vietnam, learning a little bit more about Kreese, and we get the, the start of our A story, our B story, with the country club, the reunion there, basically, of West Valley, and the whole, the students gathered together and Dimitri with his asshole speech. So what do you think of the beginning of this one?
Well, I think our first question that we have to lead off with is episode 10 of season 3, Cobra Kai, entitled December 19th, A Christmas Movie. I believe after watching it and given our criteria for Christmas movies, we have to conclude that it is. This Christmas party setting serves as a pretty fun backdrop. And, of course, you got the country club, a nice little callback to original Karate Kid. I think we're sort of running out of callbacks at this point, rapidly burning through those. But the joke about the spaghetti, of course, kind of ends up getting flipped around, with Johnny all dressed in white here and having his close call. Fun stuff there. As far as the kids and setting up what's going to be going on with them, Dimitri, I continue, warming up to Dimitri a little bit more. His rousing asshole speech was pretty fun. And we're seeing an alliance forming, almost a consortium of karate pupils with the consolidation of power here of Miyagi-Do and Cobra Kai. Who would have thought? Wow.
Well, it's Miyagi-Do and Eagle Fang, actually.
Excuse me, Miyagi-Do and Eagle Fang. Gosh.
Yes, the corporate ministry of the show. But in a good way. Shawn, what do you think of the beginning of this one?
I don't know if we've talked about it, and I don't necessarily know how you guys feel, but I really enjoy. Well, I think Scott brought it up that he didn't really give a shit about it, but I really do enjoy the backstory of Kreese. And yeah, how many Vietnam movies did we see in the 80s? This reminds me of every Vietnam movie. It reminded me of Rambo, First Blood Part 2, a little bit, with this throwback to the Snake Pit and, their POWs. But I really enjoyed this backstory. And, of course, they leave you hanging on what's in the pit when they fight. So I look forward to seeing how it plays out. So I really – in the pit. Tim brought up the 80s country club stuff. I love that. I also think it's funny that Johnny hasn't mentioned Daniel the whole day he was with Allie because he didn't want to talk about LaRusso, so that was very funny. And Allie picked up immediately on the heat between the two, so that was great. And then the bonding at the dojo about the two dojos coming together. Dimitri, the voice of the reason, and basically what I wrote there is he wants to bond over assholes. Everybody's an asshole, so we want to be assholes to beat the assholes, and that's really what the speech was. So all good stuff, setting up stuff that's going to happen here in the finale.
Yes.
Plus Amanda just trying to get drunk.
Oh, yes, Amanda. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. I don't know how I didn't note that, but that's actually in my next note on the next section now.
Okay.
Very good.
All right, Scott.
Yes, Shawn is correct. I don't really care for the Kreese backstory because I don't want to humanize the man. I just want him to be the ultimate villain, like, Darth Vader. I mean, I know they humanized him, but, like, in the first movie, he was like, what the hell is this? But, like, I don't want to humanize him. I don't want to feel bad for him. He's just a piece of shit, and I want it to stay that way. I don't want to be like, he was turned, because of Vietnam, because then you start feeling bad for him, and there's a chance for redemption. I just want him to go down. Sorry, had to get that off my chest. I did love seeing the barbs between Daniel and Johnny, with Daniel saying, where'd you get that suit from? Because he's wearing an all-white suit jacket, and he goes, Scarface. And then, like, he makes a joke about, you going to sleep in that velour jacket? And she's like, oh, you guys haven't missed a beat. And you guys left out the best part. They dropped a WrestleMania 3 reference when they were talking about how Miyagi-Do and Eagle Fang were different. They said they were the Hart Foundation and the British Bulldogs. First off, that's some real nerd shit right there. And this
How did I miss that?
I got a little bit embarrassed, actually, at that line.
And that's coming from wrestling people. Like, I had to pause it because I was laughing so hard. I was like, So
How
whoever's
do those kids know WrestleMania?
I was gonna say, like,
yeah
what kid in 2021
is watching.
knows or cares?
How
She's
does
talking
Rooney
about the
know what he
graveyard
does?
match.
Come on, you can't explain some
Well,
things.
that's a little bit. I mean, this kid is what, like 16 years old, talking about a match that happened 20 years before he was born. Like, come on.
They should be talking about AJ and Undertaker.
If they're going to be talking about WrestleMania 3, they should be talking about Savage Steamboat, right, Sean?
There is no way these kids in this show.
No fucking way
shits
they
about-
know WrestleMania 3.
Two
No
shits
way.
about
It's just
WrestleMania
like the
3.
Chris Jericho arm bar. Like, who remembers Jericho for an arm bar that they mentioned in a couple episodes ago? Give me a break.
Hey, they're probably just watching it on the WWE Network for $9.99 a month. That's all I'm saying.
Jeez. They're wasting their time on WrestleMania 3.
Those kids are sooner paying for porn than paying for wrestling. There ain't no way.
Oh, that was really cool when George the Animal Steel grabbed the bell. Yeah, fuck that.
See what you did, Scott?
Scott,
I
you're
lost
the
my
youngest person that exists that still somehow got into wrestling. I think everybody else is just old if they like wrestling.
I mean, you're
You're
probably
the
right.
last one. You're the last young person that's gotten into wrestling.
I know.
That's it. That's where it dies with you.
Yeah, pretty much. Sorry, WWE. When I die, when me and my generation dies, that's when you'll probably die.
Well, it's not your fault. It's theirs.
That's true. But I did lose my mind. They could have if they wanted to do the Attitude Era, it's yeah, my parents told me about it. But WrestleMania 3, I just lost it on that. And I think Dimitri is starting to act all up because he got a girlfriend now. Maybe he got he did some dojo humping like Sam and Miguel do. So
Getting some tail builds confidence.
yeah. So
Got a little hitch in his giddy up.
yep. So
All right.
I liked where it was going with that, with and it was gonna be interesting.
All right. So Johnny and Daniel tell Allie what has happened between them, though the former plays a little loose with the details. Allie mentioned that she and Johnny had lunch, and Johnny takes satisfaction in telling Daniel what they've done and how they met up. Daniel and Johnny continue squabbling, and Amanda comes over, and Daniel introduces her to Allie. The two women are eager to exchange notes about Daniel and his time in high school. Amanda asks if she's been told about the mortal enemy karate dojo battle for the soul of the valley that has been happening.
Fantastic line, by the way.
The two groups, back to the Russo home, the two groups agree to train at the Miyagi-Do dojo, but are deadlocked on other things. Bert goes out the kitchen door when he hears a cat, except the LaRussos don't have one. Bert is thrown through the window by the Cobra Kai members led by Hawk and Kyler. Kyler is looking for a payback on Miguel while Tori and two more students come in through the front door. Miguel tells Tori that she doesn't have to do it, but she yells no mercy and a fight breaks out. At the club, the two couples sit at a table and two women talk about Daniel and Johnny. Allie says the two men left each other alone after the tournament, and Johnny wanted to hear why she broke up with Daniel. Daniel saw Allie talking to a male friend from UCLA, and he read the conversation the wrong way. Allie admits that she egged Daniel on. Daniel insists that he thought the guy was in love with Allie. What's more is that she warned him that the brakes on Mr. Miyagi's car are bad. Johnny said that it's the best story he's ever heard, and Allie offers to talk about how a bad boyfriend he was. They all agree that they were all jerks in high school, and Allie hopes that their kids are more involved than they were. The melee at the LaRusso home continues. Daniel and Johnny's students are holding their own, but they are facing some aggressive fighters. When Tori and Sam come face to face, Sam backs away into the dojo. Tori chases her, beating up any opponent in her path. She kicks her down, expecting more of a fight, and picks up a pair of nunchucks. So we will pause there. One thing I picked up on, too, was Tori is wearing the skeleton sweatshirt.
Yes.
Reminiscent of
jacket.
the Cobra Kai from the first movie. So, Sean, we get the exchanging of the story. We get Drunk Amanda, which you love probably, and the start of the the all-out brawl, destroying the LaRusso house. So, what do you think of this part?
So I like that they were catching Allie up quick, and Johnny's poking the bear about their spending the day together. Like Daniel's supposed to be really jealous about it, and making fun of Johnny's computer literacy. I thought that was great. I really like Amanda, not just because she's hot, but I also love her attitude. That line you brought up about the karate for the soul of the valley was amazing. And again, I thought was another line that shows the show's not afraid to make fun of the ludicrousy that it is. So I really appreciate that. You go back to the LaRusso house, and these two dojos of children are writing up the apparent karate constitution about how they're going to bond together. So I thought that was pretty funny. And then they did really bold Cobra Kai showing up and kicking the fucking shit out of the kid through the window. Great.
Basically breaking and entering.
No, like this is some real criminal shit now. Tori's so psychic. And you know what I really liked about this is when they enter, they have this Trans-Siberian Orchestra shit playing in the background, like building up this fight, which was fantastic. So I like him and Ali bonding and making fun of Daniel and Johnny. We've brought up many times how we enjoy these moments. We had a similar moment with Carmen and Johnny and Amanda and Daniel before. Now we have it here with Ali and this group now minus Carmen. So I really enjoy these moments. I'm not surprised Daniel was a jealous prick, and that caused the breakup. Not surprising because Daniel, as a young man, was a whiny little bitch, and so he really was. He was a whiny little bastard. So I get totally why they broke up. But this fight, Kyler gives no shits. Like him and Miguel are fighting each other, but Kyler gives no shits that this kid was crippled. He's just beating the shit out of it. I made a note, do all houses have a tiny wooden bridge in the middle of it to fight on? I thought that was so crazy. I just loved everything about this. And as ludicrous as it is, I love PTSD Sam running away, cowering away from Tori, who's just freaking full on wanting to kick her ass and grabbing the hand nunchucks. I loved every single bit of this, even though it's beyond fucking stupid. It's so great.
Yeah. Yeah, well, they had to, amp it up from last season's fight. Scott, what do you think of, the little, we get the little talk about everybody talking about their past in high school and the start of the all-out brawl at the LaRussos.
As Sean said, I love Amanda dunking on Johnny and Daniel anytime she can. Just like how Sean said, it's just absurd when you truly think about it, but I'm all in. And I was messaging you guys last night because, spoiler alert, I watched this for the first time last night and I was losing my mind. It was it was ridiculous, but I loved every minute. They threw that little piece of shit kid through the glass. He's all cut up and everything. And then next thing you know, like they swarm in like they're the fucking Foot Clan in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and just like it's like Cobra Kai's been like getting all these people. But I don't know if you guys noticed, one person that was missing was Robbie, which I thought was interesting and made a note of that myself. But I do love like they're just fighting everyone, and Tori's just crazy. Like they have Cobra Kai just loves doing like the 2-on-1 attacks. It's like she's hunting Sam down like a real crazy person. Like she will kill this girl when it comes down to it. And Kyler's just like, oh, Rhea? And like there's a part later on where he's like he's just unloading on Miguel's kidneys for like 15 seconds. I was like, he's gonna be pissing blood for like 3 weeks. But damn, it was just amazing. If the whole episode would have been them destroying the house, and then like, the episode would end with, the LaRussos and Allie and Johnny coming home and seeing that, it's like, what, that would have been amazing. But the fight scene was just great. I mean, it's so absurd. Like we're doing house invasions. I can't gush over it anymore. I loved it.
Yeah, every time I see Tori, I think of that Chris Tucker line from Rush Hour 2. Like, we could have been something, but you one crazy ass bitch. That's what Tori is. She is a crazy ass bitch. Tim, what do you think of this part?
Wow. We've escalated this conflict to full-on home invasions now. So that's what you do following a school-wide karate riot. That's going to be hard to top, but we do our best. So we've got kids flying through windows. That's pretty awesome. Although I feel like a really slept-on moment in this full-on brawl was, I think it was Kyler. It might have been just some other Cobra Kai kid, just putting these two, once again, little kids, just the mix of ages on this show and in these dojos continues to just confound me, but puts these two little kids into the Christmas tree, like,
yeah,
the tree just goes down. Great stuff there. Then you got Sam having a full-on like panic attack and trying to flee the scene. dealing with her PTSD over Tori, who's a fucking Terminator here, just wiping people out in pursuit of Sam. The Trans-Siberian Orchestra that was pointed out just puts us over the top. So great. A lot of great moments here in the home invasion karate fight, which I think we have to call it now to set it apart from the school-wide karate riot. The stuff at the country club a little bit more subdued in comparison. I like that we see Allie basically providing some exposition for people who maybe haven't watched Karate Kid, the movie, all that religiously, but in a way that really works because she's got Amanda as a sounding board who is drunk and surly and more dismissive than usual of all this karate nonsense. And that's always a treat. So just to see them kind of comparing notes, playing off of each other, and getting back to really the theme of this series, which is it's all a matter of perspective. So we got Johnny's, we've seen Daniel's, now we're getting Allie, who's not quite as biased as the two principal adult characters. So I just really think they used Allie to good effect here. Surprised me.
She's the great unifier. She served a purpose. It wasn't just fan service. Getting like, oh, look, we got Elizabeth Shue to come back to a role she did earlier in her career. No, she was there and she serves the story quite well.
Exactly. Yep.
So Amanda and Allie hug as they leave, and then Amanda goes. Daniel and Johnny continue squabbling, and Allie tells them that they both think there's only one side of the story. She says that there's Daniel's side, there's Johnny's side, and the truth is more alike, that they are more alike than they want to admit, and don't like the part of themselves that they see in each other. Johnny admits that it's possible some small part of this was his fault. Daniel makes a similar admission and he leaves on that. He tells Allie that he had a great time and she's happy she saw him. Tells her not to screw up what he has with Amanda. Daniel starts to apologize for how things ended between them, and Allie said they were all young and the good times outweighed the bad. They hug again, which Amanda noticed. There were 2 hugs. Daniel and Johnny exchange Christmas wishes before Daniel leaves. Johnny actually calls him Daniel. Tori, back at the fight, Tori keeps coming at Sam. When she smashes a portrait of Mr. Miyagi, Sam hears her father's encouraging words and arms herself with a bow staff. In the house, Miguel fights Kyler. Kyler knocks Miguel down and high-fives Hawk, who looks all around to see the devastation. 2 Cobra Kai students pin Dimitri and invite Hawk for a free kick at his former friend. He decides to take them down, apologizes to Dimitri for all of it, and they join forces, take on the Cobra Kai students, cementing his face turn. Kyler beats Miguel, who rallies when he sees Hawk and Dimitri together. He remembers Johnny's motivating words and manages to defeat Kyler, knocking him unconscious. The champ is back. Sam and Tori continue fighting, and Sam finally disarms Tori and says that she's not afraid of her. Hawk, Miguel, and Dimitri. And Hawk tells Tori that it's over. They came into the dojo. Sorry. She says that it will never be over. She calls Hawk and Miguel traitors and leaves. Johnny and Allie leave the club, and Allie asks about Carmen, who Amanda told her about. He says that Carmen is amazing, and he admits that he's trying to figure out his relationship with her. Allie assures him that he didn't screw things up and thanks him for making her feel like a kid again. She says they can't live in the past permanently, and they both agree that they will have to embrace the present and the future. They said that they both know they will be happy and hug. They both say they need it, and Valley brings Johnny's 93 Dodge Caravan up. Johnny offers to give Allie a lift, but she says she has to go find her parents. Allie tells Johnny that she'll always be there for him, and he has a future to find. Johnny agrees and goes. So, Scott, we have, the culmination of the fight, and we see the close of the country club party. So what'd you think?
I'm going to start with the country club party. I liked Allie basically telling Daniel and Johnny, you guys are similar, more similar than you care to admit, and if you guys could put that away, you'd probably be friends. And you actually see something like that because Johnny would always call Daniel LaRusso, but he actually said, have a good Christmas, Daniel. And I do love, Tim made a good point. Allie was brought back, and she actually had something. She was more like a Yoda right there with, she gets basically Daniel and Johnny to crush their beef. And then, she tells Johnny, you need to stop living in the past, go for the future, go for this girl, Carmen. And, he admits that he's crazy about her. And now I'm going to go to my thoughts in the fight. The Hawk face turn with some Vince Russo bullshit. This asshole has been a heel. He broke his best friend's arm, and then he has a change of heart just because he's no longer Kreese's golden boy. Nah, that don't fly with me. I don't trust him. He's a piece of shit. I just don't agree with it at all. And I do love Tori's like, I'm going to kill you, Sam. So hopefully, we can get her for attempted murder next season. But, Miguel goes from not being able to throw like a kick and he just decides he's going to turn it on Kyler. So that was nice. But just the Hawk babyface turn pisses me off because it came out of nowhere. They should have built it up more. They'd done a good job of building. It was like Bischoff. He waited a year for Sting to beat Hogan. Then he gives with 6 weeks. They did that with Robbie to go on a whole season before he's officially, with Cobra Kai. They give Hawk 3 episodes. It's basically like Hogan win the world title. I mean, Goldberg win the world title at the Georgia Dome. That's basically what happened. They should have built it up ahead of the middle of next season. Sorry, that's just out of this episode, which is perfect to me. That's what knocks it down to like a 9.75.
This is all limb work. No, I think you saw. They sprinkled it in a little bit in season 2, but you saw it a little. It was very subtle. Hawk with leading up to the face turn. I saw it coming. I knew it was going to happen at some point. Tim, what do you think of the close of this fight and the Allie Johnny friendship date thing?
Ooh, what a moment we're having because Bizarro Karate Universe panelists. Bizarro World Cobra Kai panelists are on the same page now because that Hawk face turn was some goddamn bullshit. That's probably would it be hyperbole to say worst moment of the series? Yes, it is the worst moment of the series. Only because it wasn't totally unmotivated, but it was severely undermotivated. Like, I get that he had some issues with the management of Cobra Kai under Kreese, so to speak. Like, yeah, he's getting shoved to the side again with Robbie, and he has personal beef with that piece of shit Kyler. Miguel is his old friend, but it's all just too much, way too fast. We needed at least another, I don't know, half a season's worth of development to get here. That they did not put in the work to get to that point. It was definitely just swerve, shock for the sake of doing it, like to have that oh shit kind of moment, but pretty unearned, I gotta say. Makes me think, were there a lot of Hawk deleted scenes or something? Like, did they try to develop this out more and it just got left on the cutting room floor? I don't know, but that bad writing there just did not work for me at all. Gosh, what else? Yeah, Miguel having the sudden, I don't know, karate power up and kicking ass once again. I don't know. That's a little bit hard to swallow. Also, you figure heat of the moment, adrenaline, plus this show. I'm sort of wildly gesticulating right now. It is what it is, but you figure he's still got some work to do to get back into his full fighting form. It's a good thing this wasn't a tournament. I guess I look at it that way. Tori resorting to the foreign object to gain the unfair advantage over Sam, who finally gets her shit together, responds in kind. So we have a bow staff versus nunchucks fight here. That I don't know. I feel like I'd take nunchucks in a situation like that, but it is what it is. Good karate prevailing over evil karate. That's just how the cookie crumbles sometimes. Stuff with the country club remains pretty solid. I like that they kind of put a pin in the whole Allie return here, like left the door open to see more from her maybe next season, but we're not going to drag out and tease a whole love triangle thing, as I wondered. Like we've really said, not going to go in that direction. It's going to be Johnny and Carmen from here out. We're going to give that some room to breathe, and if there's a chance to do some more with Allie, great. If not, then she's kind of served her purpose, and it's fine.
Yeah. She's not necessary to come back, but it wouldn't be, it wouldn't be like the Hawk face turn. It would make sense to you guys.
Correct. It would make sense. It'd be welcome.
Yes. Sean, what'd you think of this section?
I'll start with the final Allie thing. So I really like how they used Allie in these 2 episodes, kind of like bridging that gap between Johnny and Daniel. I like that they didn't go down the path of Johnny and her getting together. I really liked the final scene between them where she said you can't live in the past, but in the future. And Johnny kind of redeems himself a little bit by talking about how much he liked Carmen. And Allie really is a good person. So yeah, like Tim said, they leave it open for her to come back. I did like Amanda calling Daniel out on the 2 hugs. That made me laugh, and then Daniel got all gross on her and said, hey, I'll go home and we'll bang, and I didn't like that at all. So, but yeah, really, really good use of Allie in this show, so I really did like that. As far as the fight, a couple notes. So I love how breaking the sacred Miyagi picture with the nunchucks is the thing that made Sam like lose her shit and want to fight and get out of her PTSD. That was ridiculous. The same with Miguel when he's getting his ass just handed to him by Kyler, and then he sees what's happening on the side of the room, and then he hears Sensei's Johnny's words of wisdom, and all of a sudden he has the comeback, and he does that leap over, like backwards leap over Kyler like AJ Styles does, and does that sting drop to him and then punches him in the face, and then it's all over. I mean, this is some, like, I can imagine the writers writing this were having the time of their life about how ridiculous all this is, and I'm all in for it. The Hawk face turn, I'm with you guys, was totally out of nowhere, wasn't built up enough, and was just like, and Dimitri looks like such a dipshit, saying, hey, we're friends again, even though you broke my arm.
I know, right? So all is forgiven.
It's all is forgiven. You broke my arm, but all is forgiven. What? That was just stupid. And then, the fight. Ass. Yeah. And
so, Sean,
fight, what?
Dimitri, I'm going to say this, even though he's my favorite wrestler, Dimitri's like Sting. And Hawk's like Ric Flair. It's like, you turned on me so many times. I'm going to let you back comparison. This one time.
Yeah, that's so great. Yeah, Dimitri is like Sting. The fight ends with Hawk, and then, Tori threatens to kill everybody. So, ludicrous, stupid, yes, but I loved every minute of it, and I can imagine writing this was probably a great, great time had by all.
Yeah. Well, maybe they're setting Hawk up to be somebody that's going to get really effed up in the next season.
Oh, I have thoughts on that at the end.
All right.
I look forward to sharing that.
We'll get to there. All right. Yeah. Well, we're in this in sight. All right. So, but not yet. We got a lot more to unpack. So Johnny arrives back at the apartment complex, figures he's ready to tell Carmen that he loves her, and knocks at her door. She opens the door, and Johnny sees a wounded Miguel behind her and asks what happened. We go back to North Vietnam, 1969. The 2 guards come over and take Turner and Twig to the bridge. Kreese offers to go instead of Twig, and Turner tells him that only one of them are coming back and he still has something to live for. He tells Kreese that Betsy died in a car accident because he didn't want Kreese to lose focus, and he laughs as he tells him that, too. The 2 men step onto the bridge, and Turner tells Kreese that it'll be over soon. On the bridge, Kreese discovers the pit is filled with snakes. Cobras even in there. The 2 men begin fighting. Flashback to now, an angry Johnny goes to the Cobra Kai dojo. Kreese is with Robbie, who is wearing a Cobra Kai gi, and Kreese tells Johnny what took him so long. Johnny asks Robbie what he's doing there, and Kreese tells him that he and Robbie are now where they belong. Kreese said that together they'll dominate the tournament and melt the snowflake generation. He tells Johnny that it's his last chance. He asks Johnny if he's in or out. Robbie says that Kreese only wants best for Johnny. Johnny then attacks Kreese. In North Vietnam, 1969, Turner initially beats Kreese. Now Johnny drives Kreese back onto the dojo mat, and Johnny grabs the sai from the wall. Robbie comes out and tells his father not to do it. Johnny drops the sai and attacks Kreese hand to hand, but Robbie pulls him away. Johnny tells Robbie that he doesn't understand why and he can't trust Kreese. Robbie figures that he can't be his own worst enemy, but Johnny can be, and attacks him. Defending himself, Johnny tells Robbie that he won't fight him. Robbie says that Johnny is weak, and Johnny throws his son into the lockers, unintentionally knocking him out. As Johnny checks on his son, apologizing, Kreese recovers. Back to North Vietnam. In 1969, Turner pins Kreese down and says that he tried to tell him that it was kill or be killed, and Kreese grabs a bamboo shard from the underside of the bridge, drives it into Turner's leg. He then beats the captain, knocks him over the side. Turner hangs onto the edge. Back to now, Kreese attacks Johnny with a sai and hits him in the head with it. And back to the flashback, Americans up on board. Choppers, the POW camp. The guards run off, and Turner tells Kreese that it's over and orders him to pull him up. Kreese says that he won't show any mercy and kicks Turner into the snakes. Now, Johnny tells Kreese that he thought there was still hope for him. Johnny recovers and kicks the sai out of Kreese's hand. Kreese puts him in a chokehold and says that it wasn't how he wanted it to end. So we will pause there as the fight is still happening, and we see what happened with Kreese. So Tim, what do you think of Johnny, learning about what happened and going to confront Kreese, and we learn what really happened in Vietnam that made Kreese the way he is?
I guess this is a good place to talk about the Kreese Vietnam flashback stuff. And similar to Scott, I had some concerns would this overly humanize who has been like a pretty all-around evil sort of character. And in my opinion, this did not so much humanize him as just give him some added dimension. We understand more where he's coming from, but we don't really sympathize with him because, as we see in this extremely over-the-top, trial by combat situation over a huge snake pit, which I love so very much. If ever there's an opportunity to use a huge snake pit, it's got to be in Cobra Kai, the series. Kreese had an opportunity to save this guy, just in the nick of time. They're all liberated from this POW camp, which seems to serve entirely for entertainment purposes only. But they're liberated. He could save the dude, and he doesn't. Why? Because he doesn't want to. He feels aggrieved, and he likes the flex of power. So he throws him right into that fucking snake pit, as any true villain would. So job well done there. We don't sympathize with this dude at all. He is a piece of shit, was a piece of shit, and that's kind of how it should be. It's nice to have just a out-and-out villain sometimes. Getting to we follow up our climax here, big karate battle, dojo karate battle, with Johnny having to contend with his own son. That's rough stuff there, the two of them going at it. And of course, Kreese getting involved. Everybody's really going for broke here. And I have to tell you, the involvement by Robbie reminded me a lot of, God, what's the character's name in Karate Kid 3? Not Terry Silver, the Mike Barnes. Thank you, Wikipedia. Mike Barnes, the fucking psycho that they recruit to basically take down Daniel. He's kind of their ace in the hole. And I feel like that's how they used Robbie in this situation. Just cold, psychotic, can't be reasoned with, can't be bargained with. So if that's the Robbie we're going to see heading into next season, yikes, look out. But I guess I'll leave off there. More to be said, but somebody else can take it.
Yep. Shawn?
I like the Vietnam stuff, and it wasn't about humanizing him, but I thought I liked the story of why he's such a prick. I mean, this captain, we talked on the last episode about the letter, and I think I speculated it was a Dear John letter. No, it wasn't. His girlfriend died, and he withheld it from him so he could have him in the war and fight the war with his head on straight. I mean, what a cold, calculating little bastard. And you got to have snakes in the pit because it's Cobra Kai, so you got to have snakes. and I love that he, even though the rescue team came right at that moment, Kreese still killed his captain. So it's total heel turn complete. He's an asshole now. He's still going to be an asshole. I don't think he's ever going to be redeemed. So I'm perfectly fine with how that story played out. I pot big time for Johnny and Kreese. And then he sees Robbie there, and then it really intensifies even worse. Did have to laugh that in the Johnny and Kreese fight scenes, you could definitely tell when they would cut away and it wasn't Martin Cove playing Kreese, but they had some younger guy with a wig on when his head was to the back of the camera. And then they would have Kreese back in on the front, but when they're fighting from behind, it's not Kreese at all. Literally, you could tell it's not him. So that made me laugh a little bit and took me out a little bit. All the same, these two fighting was great. Kreese going for what is it called? A sai? Is that what it's called? A sai or whatever it's called?
It's
whatever Electra uses in the comics to fuck people up is what it is. Yeah. So I like that, and then I like that where you left off before we move on. I mean, Kreese was going to kill him. Like, this was going to be a killing blow. Like, he wasn't fucking around. This was it. He was going to kill Johnny. So really intense shit here, man. I mean, this is like hardcore, just pure intensity.
Yeah. Well, I was wondering too, though. He hits him with the sai. He doesn't stab him with it. So
at first, I thought he was going to stab him, but then he put him in that chokehold, and then at that point, I thought he was going to kill him.
I thought he was going to stab him when he had him in the chokehold with it.
Yeah, well,
because he did stab the captain in the leg with the knee, right? So I thought maybe he was going to do the same thing here.
Yeah. Scott, what do you think of the this part of it?
I enjoyed the flashback fight and the current day fight. They were kind of mirroring each other. Kreese is getting his ass whooped in Vietnam, and then you see him getting his ass whooped by Johnny, which he should, because there's like a 30-year-old age difference in that, and Kreese moving around a little slow. And like Shawn said, I did like how you could see the stunt double. I did notice that. It didn't really take me out of it. I just chuckled at it. I did like Robbie saying, Robbie figures that he can't be his own worst enemy, but Johnny can be. It was like some bad wrestling stuff. It's like when Steph McMahon turned on Vince at Armageddon to me. I'm sorry, I'm a wrestling nerd, guys. But it was just and then Robbie gets knocked out in the worst way possible, and he just runs headfirst into the lockers and takes him out, and Johnny's trying to wake him up, and then Kreese is about to kill him, but
not unlike Shawn Stasiak, right? Running into walls.
Yeah, Planet Stasiak. If Robbie came back with a Planet Stasiak gimmick, I would immediately love Robbie as a character.
Got fucking CTE.
But yeah, but it's just the lead up. This whole episode has just been jam packed, and it cranks in at 40 minutes. And I remember pausing at the start of this fight, and I was like, "Damn it, we only have 13 minutes left in this season." I was just this could have been a 2-hour movie, and I would have been engrossed in it the whole time, especially what you're about to get to, Andy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Daniel shows up and breaks the hold. Furious that Kreese's students came into his home and came after Sam, he sees an unconscious Robbie. Kreese tells Daniel that it was inevitable that they fight. They battle, and Daniel remains defensive at first. Kreese tackles Daniel through a window and then picks up a shard of glass. Time for you and Miyagi to reunite.
What a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Sorry, Andy.
And he uses that, Kreese has a great line. This defense only shit ain't going to help you anymore. Daniel remembers Chosen's lessons and disables his limbs with the pressure point techniques. Johnny recovers and comes out and nods to Daniel to finish Kreese as Daniel prepares to strike the fatal blow. Sam and Miguel run up, and Daniel tells Kreese to keep his students away from their kids. Johnny says that Cobra Kai has to go for good. Kreese says that they'll sell it in the tournament, because in the KCU, that's how you do it. If his students lose, then he'll go. Johnny tells him that they won't lose. And Robbie comes out. He tells Johnny and the others to get out, and Kreese calls him son. Back to North Vietnam, 1969. Kreese releases the POWs from the cage. Twig embraces Kreese and said that he owes him, and he's there for him for his entire life. Now, Kreese looks at the photo of his army buddies and makes a phone call, most likely to Terry Silver. Hey, long time. The next day, Daniel goes to his dojo where his students are waiting. Miguel and the Eagle Fang students arrive and join them. And after a minute, Johnny steps out and joins Daniel, and they bow to each other. Together, they begin training the assembled students in what I thought was a pretty decent cover of In the Air Tonight. And that ends the season. So let's hear your final thoughts on this episode, the closing moments, Shawn.
So I popped big time when Daniel showed up to save Johnny. Literally, I popped. I'm like, oh yeah, this is great. So and then they started fighting. He was gonna stab Daniel with the glass, and then Daniel used the Chosen stuff and did the paralysis Miyagi shit on him. I thought that was fantastic. And I really had to let this settle in. Kreese was going to kill both these guys. Like,
Yes.
this is a whole nother level. He was going to kill them. And both Daniel and Johnny knows they were going to kill them. And then, this is like a total police thing at this point. We've made fun of this before, but the police should be brought in. I think it's suitable at this point, but no, it's okay. You were going to kill me, but we'll settle it at the tournament. This is some fucking bullshit. It's so ludicrous, but it's so great, but it's just insanity. He's going to kill him, but we'll settle it at the tournament.
And they won't even be the ones to fight. It'll be the students fighting.
Exactly. I liked Kreese calling Robbie's son. That was a little bit of a dig and an asshole maneuver right there. I like on the other end of the call. I'm with you. I think it might be Silver, but I thought it might have been that guy he saved in a cage, because that's kind of what I thought they were alluding to. I don't know if that was supposed to be Silver or not.
I think they said it was.
Oh, it was. They did say that was Silver?
Well, they think that's the speculation. I think they did call him Terry at some point. I'm not sure.
Okay, well, maybe it is. I like the finale of them bonding together. To your point, in the air tonight was great. I'll talk about where I think it goes after everybody else talks, and we do the end of this, but I thought it was epic shit. Stupid, silly, just ridiculous, but great for the KCU universe. And the last thing I thought to myself is, I assume most of the children in these dojos don't have parents because they are nowhere to be seen.
I know. The kids come home like after getting the fucking shit beat out of them.
And yet they're still allowed to go back to the dojo. It's crazy.
Yes. Scott, what do you think of the end of the episode?
Yeah, just echoing Shawn. It was just amazing. And they did a little fake out, because when you see someone hit Kreese when he's choking out Johnny, you see a white. So I was thinking, oh, maybe Robbie came to his senses, is going to save his dad. Nope. It's Daniel get a piece of that ass. So I love Daniel's fight, and I couldn't hold myself when he's, when they go through like the glass window together, him, LaRusso and Kreese, and then he grabs the shard and says, "Time for you and Miyagi to reunite." What a piece of shit, just on so many levels. And I was hoping like LaRusso would like finish him off right then and there, and like everyone just sees it, and the next season they think like Daniel's the monster when he killed the monster, but we didn't go that way. But I did like the pressure point stuff. I'm glad. I thought that was actually going to come out with Sam doing that to Tori earlier in this episode, but it didn't. She just beat her ass with like the katana type thing. It did like Robbie coming in, and they made him look like he was sort of like Spock from Star Trek from when he ran headfirst into the lockers. So I like that. And like how Shawn said, extra bonus points with him calling Robbie son, just to dig a little deeper into both LaRusso and Johnny, because they both that's Johnny's actual son that he hasn't really done much with, but Daniel tried for basically 2 seasons. And if they're calling Terry Silver, he was in the 3rd movie, correct? That's the one I've seen the least amount of times.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and I did love at the end with Eagle Fang and Miyagi-Do coming together, and you see what I wanted. I've been wanting this for more scenes with Johnny and Daniel, and next season we're going to get more scenes. Their chemistry is off the charts.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm hoping Robbie, grows some facial hair to really cement the heel turn.
Oh, he needs the bag on beat.
Yes.
Keep that to me.
Hollywood Robbie.
All right, Tim, what do you think of the end of the episode?
Okay. So I guess I jumped the gun a little bit on the Kreese Vietnam payoff situation. It's fine. We knew what happened. Really awesome to see Daniel get the hot tag, so to speak, and clean house on Kreese just when it looks like Johnny's going to get it. And you're right. I mean, we're dealing with attempted murder at this point.
So stupid.
It's insane. I almost part of me wishes that Kreese actually had killed one of them just to see what his next move was going to be. How do you just move on from
I'm
that?
a war veteran.
It was self-defense.
It's well, students, you're going to have to learn a new lesson today, which is how to dispose of a body, And he could probably pull it off, but we do not get any actual homicides here in this fight, but it is a pretty cool fight for what it is. I totally saw the payoff coming with the Miyagi-Do cheat codes, which I still think is like the dumbest shit ever. But I will say I don't have as much of a problem with it as I did before Scott set me straight on my misunderstanding of how that came about. Where
I love that you call them Miyagi cheat codes.
they are the Miyagi-Do cheat codes, which Miyagi did not teach to Daniel, had his reasons for not doing it. Wasn't gonna pass that down to anybody. And see, I was under the impression that he did teach Chosen the cheat codes, which would have made no sense and not been true to his character at all. But Scott set me on the path of righteousness by saying, no, it was whoever their common ancestor was or whatever, right? It wasn't a direct
Genghis Khan or whoever.
Yes. But whoever Chosen's sensei was, who worked with whatever. So we get the cheat codes; those come into play as we kind of knew they would, and that's where we kind of leave things off with the teachers, the sensei, who are, I love as well that they're the only parents in the valley, apparently, as you guys have pointed out, that none of these other students have parents. It's just LaRusso and Johnny that have kids who are parents and are as wrapped up in the situation, if not more so, than their children.
It's like children of the karate corn.
Children of the karate corn. Well, they're going to be using their children, their students, as their avatars to fight in the All Valley, which is back on, setting us up for season 4. Going to be a big showdown. Sounds kind of fucked up, but that's the show.
Yeah. Well, that wraps up season 3, but we're going to speculate on what's going to happen in season 4. Will it be the final season for Cobra Kai? Because not sure if what some of us may think could happen, where they could go from there. Maybe we'll get a 5th season. Who knows? So let's go around the room now and give our thoughts on what we see kind of playing out in season 4 whenever we get it. Probably won't be at least till the end of this year. I'm thinking we may not get it. We'll start with Scott. Scott, what do you think is going to happen in season 4?
Okay, so this just came to me as we've been talking tonight. So we never found out Johnny's dad was never there. We never found out who Johnny's dad was. We've seen his stepdad, and he said he never knew his dad. I think Kreese is his real dad.
Jesus.
Johnny, I am your father.
I'm just saying, I see that coming because, like, he's always wanting Johnny to come back to the dojo, and, like, when he came back and Robbie was there, he's like, oh, we're finally all together. And I was like, huh. I could see. Be. And then, that's why being a shitty dad just is in the genetics because, Kreese wasn't there for Johnny and, came into his life at 14, and same with Robbie, so...
I was going to say something about the dead girlfriend, but she died. She couldn't have had a baby that fast. So
we don't know that she died. What we know is that the piece of shit captain told Kreese that she was.
Oh, dead. That's true. She might not have. Wow, Scott, that's not a bad theory. That could play out.
By comic book rules, unless you see a body, they're not dead.
Yeah.
Yep. So I was just thought of that because, like, it just seems, and like they could theoretically pull it off with, like, they all have blonde hair. So we'll see what happens with that. I want this show to go on, but I see it ending with season 4 because, I mean, Jesus Christ, what more can we do with the show unless we start go the Fast and Furious route, which was a movie about boosting fucking VHS DVD and VHS combos, and now they're stopping terrorists and, shooting missiles at each other. So if they go all crazy, I'm in. But I see it ending with season 4 with Cobra Kai being shut down once and for all. Who wins? I could see it being Sam. I know that's not Sean's favorite, but I could see Sam winning.
Why ruin that?
All right. Tim, what are your thoughts on what we could see in season 4?
Wow. Well, we know that Kreese was on the phone with someone at the end. I feel like it's been more or less confirmed now that was Terry Silver. Like, I was very skeptical at first because, I mean, clearly whoever he was speaking to, they were trying to connect that to the guy who was so grateful that he saved in Vietnam. And I'm like, I don't think that was Terry Silver because Terry Silver seemed too young to have served.
Maybe it's Terry Silver's father?
Well, here's the thing. I watched a thing on YouTube really just about a week ago that was talking about, is it Terry Silver? And they showed a clip from Karate Kid 3 where Kreese and Silver are talking, and Silver actually mentions that they served together, like directly.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, well,
okay.
Whatever that age difference looks like, I guess it isn't what it seems, because he just straight up said that they served together. And
well, there you go.
That's probably him, unless they're doing something really strange and swervy for no real reason. Once again, though, Karate Kid 3, similar to 2, maybe not the best movie you want to call to people's attention. There's the risk that people will want to watch this, and you shouldn't do that to people. But I maintain that 3 is actually more entertaining than 2, but that is what it is. They're both shit movies. I actually predict that season 4 will not be the last. I think this show has about 11 seasons.
Oh God, we can only hope.
In it. I'd like to see the episode count increased from 10 to, I don't know, about 32 per season. And I think we'd be in good shape.
Oh God, we'd be on podcast the rest of our life.
But look, clearly season 4 is that finale has got to be the All Valley, which we must not have much time left to get there, right? I mean, it's always in December. This episode was entitled December 19th. So is that going to be a really?
For some reason, I thought the All Valley took place in May.
No, as far as I know, well, I mean, they might have changed it in the year since, but it was in December in the movie at least. Both movies, as I recall, but I don't know. I've been wrong about other things with regards to this franchise, so you might want to check that citation. But we could be dealing with a very compressed season, is my point, if it is indeed in December. Maybe it's the following December, shit. But it got canceled this year, but it'll come back next year. Who knows? I understand that they are filming the fourth season. It started like about a week ago, so it's gotten underway. Yeah, so they could have that wrapped up next few months and have it in the can, and it's just on Netflix then to decide when to drop it. Maybe this is going to be their January drop now going forward. But season 4, I mean, kind of seems like a natural endpoint. As much as I joke about wanting much more, running on fumes, you could maybe get a 5th season out of it. Beyond that, seems like you're really pushing.
Yeah, you don't want to leave. You don't want to be asked to leave the party. You want to leave on your own terms.
Yes,
kind of thing. All right, Shawn, what do you think about season 4?
Yeah, I think it'll continue. I think season 4 might be its final kind of iteration of this current Cobra Kai. And maybe there's some kind of storyline that comes out of it. I definitely think we're heading to the finals of this whole tournament, this whole big thing between Daniel, Johnny, and Kreese. I think that'll end in season 4 for sure. I definitely think we end up at the tournament, and I definitely think we get the final Sam and Tori. I think we're going to get Hawk and Kyler in that. We're going to get Miguel and Robbie, and hopefully, if everyone's right about this, we're going to get Kreese and Silver against LaRusso and Johnny. So some big time matches being built up to the Karate WrestleMania. I'm in on all of it, and I think that's where we're headed for next season.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you guys. I think Kreese dies. I think there's the only way that he's not going to get like murdered or something like that. Maybe he has like a heart attack or something, after in the middle of like the karate match or something like that. But Kreese needs to go. Like he's not a man of his word. He's full of shit.
He tries to throw a snake at LaRusso, but it backfires on him. And, true Jake the Snake fashion. It's his own undoing.
No, he actually learns the serpent sorpium.
Or he ends up going to jail. He goes to jail for attempted murder or something.
Yeah, something.
Jail does not exist in the
Oh, that's right.
Act.
There's no jail in KCU.
Juvie exists, though.
Juvie exists, but prison and jail do not.
All right. Well, it was enjoyable. It was a compressed series that we did here. It was a lot of fun to do with you guys. But since this is the last episode, we're going to do plugs and just kind of say what other things you guys can be found on. So, Shawn, where can other people find you? And also, what's your social media presence that you want people to go to?
So, on Twitter, at NWA Crack and Roll, I obviously have the NWA Crack and Roll podcast, where I believe this Friday we'll be dropping part 2 of October 85. We have Chicken Salad. We're getting ready to record. Our next one will be No Way Out 2003. I think we're recording this week. And I'm also on Highway to the Impact Zone, which will also be dropping this Thursday as well. So that's where you can find me.
All right. Scott?
I'm one of the co-hosts with Andy and Eric Eels at Blockbuster Rewind. Our most recent episode of Shrek just dropped this past week. It was a fun episode. We talked about all the Shrek movies and Puss in Boots. I'm also on Pop Goes to the Couch for WandaVision, where my with Andy, Shawn, and Tim, we just wrapped up episode 3 of that. It's a real fun listen. Hope you guys are checking that out. And I can be reached on Twitter at Scott_Shifflett.
All right. Tim?
I do a number of podcasts with Jennifer Smith. She has her own feed. It is called The Jenny Position. So check that out if you want to hear more from me and a lot of other cool, eclectic content. Jenny and I also have a pair of wrestling podcasts. Those are on the Place to Be Nation wrestling feed. They are called PTB NXT and Talkin' WCW. So check those out. They drop monthly or thereabouts. PTB NXT a little bit more regular, but both shows are still quite active and a lot of fun if you are into either of those, because I am, like Scott, a wrestling fan, but an old wrestling fan. You can follow me on Twitter. I am at Psych68, CYKE68, my social media handle, as they say.
All right. As for me, this is my primary home, but over on the PTBN Wrestling Network, you can hear me on The Great Debate, Wrestling Edition, as well as Evolution. Tim, our episode that you were on is finally going to be dropping
oh my gosh,
soon.
I forgot about it.
It seemed like it seemed like last year, right? It seemed like last year when we recorded it, and that is Evolution.
Oh, yeah.
We broke down the career of DDP, Diamond Dallas Page.
Yep. Well,
so
beware of any topical references.
We apologize right now.
I think that one was early December we recorded. Something like that.
Wow.
That's
awesome.
Yes.
Anyway.
Well,
glad it's still viable.
Yes, Diamond Dallas Page is still retired. Here on the PlayStation Pop Experience, I have a plethora of shows. We have Pop Goes the Classics. That is myself, Miranda, and Steve Riddle. We are breaking down all the Disney animated classics. Our latest episode as of this recording, I believe, is Peter Pan. And you'll be hearing Lady and the Tramp, followed by Sleeping Beauty and 101 Dalmatians, coming to your ears, listening pleasure soon. Scott mentioned Blockbuster Rewind. Our next episode for February will be all about RoboCop and its sequels, so look forward to that. New episodes of Laugh in Theater always drop here and there, so keep an eye out for that. As well as PTBN Trivia Night. We've had 2 episodes so far. We're on to episode number 3, the Disney-themed episode, so I'm looking forward to that. And I have another podcast going to be starting very soon. It will be monthly. It will be with my good friend I like to refer to as my better half in podcasting, Miss Miranda Berthold. And it came about due to the information we learned that The Muppet Show is coming to Disney+. So, Miranda and I will be bringing you the most sensational, inspirational, celebrational, Muppetational podcast coming out monthly on this very feed. So look for it, as well as Pop Goes to the Couch. WandaVision will continue on, and on to Falcon, Winter Soldier, and so on and so forth. Hopefully we have a lot of different shows to talk about. But I want to thank Shawn, Scott, and Tim for getting together on this 4-part series to break down Cobra Kai Season 3. I am Andy Atherton. Thanks for joining us here. Pop Goes to the Couch. Check out the WandaVision episodes and all the great pods we are all on all the great feeds here at Place to Be Nation, the Jenny Position, the North-South Connection, everything. Lots of great content dropping daily. So check it all out. And we'll see you on the next episode of whatever show we're all going to be on. Take care.